Hello, Couple Synergy listeners. Welcome to another episode of Couple Synergy.
This week we have a Labor Day special.
This is a double header. We are interviewing two different couples, which is really awesome. Daren and Karen and Beth and Mike. And, just kind of buckle in because this is a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, Daren and Karen came on and shared their story, and you'll hear them talk about a lot of red flags that they survived. A really amazing couple. And then Beth, who's Karen's sister, and her husband Mike, who happens to be my cousin, join us and share their story.
Just to kind of give you a heads up, Daren just quit smoking before we started recording the podcast, and so he has a little fidget clicker that is kind of going off during this session, during the interview. So you'll hear that.
Yep. So just look past that and hear this great story.
And without further ado, here we go.
It's easier to walk away.
Oh, it's so much easier to quit.
But it's better at the other side.
Because then you find out who each other really are. You find out what you're really made out of. How tough are you?
Right.
How thick is your skin? You know what I mean?
Well, the stuff the kids have said. The kids used to beg me.
I know people that
divorce, Dad. I'm sick of the fighting.
Yeah, and I know people that, some of my friends some of them know what we went through, and they're like, how could you even be with her? I said, it's unconditional, man. I knew from the first time I met her that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, and it was just, I just don't see that ever changing.
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean, and this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Check us out online at couplesynergy.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couple Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experiences with working with thousands of couples for over 15 years.
Every day we get to hear intimate details about a couple's celebrations, disappointments, and everyday challenges. We've often wished these stories were shared because we know we are more similar than different. And so we've created not only an avenue where you can hear about people's intimate lives, but an atmosphere where people come over to our home pub, pour a drink, and share their stories.
People like today's guests, Daren and Karen, welcome to the podcast. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You guys, this is your first time down in Jaxie's Pub. What do you guys think?
That's pretty awesome.
I'm moving in. I'm glad your kids moved out.
Yeah.
It definitely passes the time for us.
Man, you're going to have a tough time getting me out of here.
It's like, I've got to go to work till Monday.
Right. All right. Well, this is going to be a great podcast. This is going to be very interesting. And I'm just excited to see what comes about because you guys have some awesome stories.
Sure.
And we are really looking forward to hearing the story. But before we do that,
awesome.
Maybe you guys can tell us a little bit about yourselves. What do you guys do for a living? How old are you? How long have you guys been together?
I'm 50. I'm at home now. I was in retail sales for a long time in the party business, probably on and off for 15 or 20 years. And we met in 1987. So we've known each other for probably 32 years. So we got married in 88.
Okay.
86.
Well, that's probably when we knew each other. We met each other.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess the first meeting.
86, so that's 30.
Yeah, we didn't start dating immediately. We just met each other. She was seeing a guy that I worked with, so I just thought it'd be, kind of a dick thing to move right in and start.
No, it's not how that went.
One of the guys I worked with.
Such a story.
Yeah.
But no, I knew from the moment I first saw her that I was pretty much going to be with her. I knew right away.
Are you guys the same age?
No.
No, I'm 5 years? 5 years.
So how old were each of you when you guys met?
18, 19.
You were 18 and I was 23.
Can you tell us the story of how you guys met?
Well, I was already married at the time.
Yeah, you were separated.
I was separated because Yeah, we were having problems.
At 23?
With 4 kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
How old were you when you got married the first time?
21. It was 20.
Yeah, then
it was 20. Because it didn't last long. We had 3 kids, and she already had a kid, and we met in the Navy. And it just wasn't working out. So I was working at a bike shop, a motorcycle shop. I worked with her boyfriend at
my
the time.
boyfriend. Yeah. Our roommates moved out. That was why we had, because Kevin broke his leg.
But I think the question was, where did we meet? We met at the bike shop.
Did we meet at the bike shop?
Yep. It was the first time I saw you.
Yeah, well, you saw, because I came in and met all the guys while Cape was working. And it was like, walked into the garage and this is so-and-so, you know.
And you had on a brown dress.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was working at front row then.
The brown dress with the white.
Like Wakama pottery.
Truffle, what is it, a truffle collar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lace.
Yeah. I'll never forget it.
The things that stick in your brain, it's funny.
Well, we hear that a lot. We hear that couples have been together a long time. They knew right when they met each other.
Like I said, I knew right away. I'm not sure if she did.
We were pretty attracted fairly quickly, I think.
Yeah, we didn't do the whole locking eyes thing, though.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad.
I just caught you looking.
You guys did the sideways glance.
Right.
Pretty much.
So did you guys go on a date? Did you just hang out?
I don't know if we went on a date.
No,
you moved in because the other apartment, the other bedroom was empty. And he was sleeping on his boss's couch, and his boss lived a couple blocks from where our apartment was in Seaville. And then Cape was like, well, hey, we have another bedroom. And
that was probably the stupidest thing he ever did.
The other couple moved out. He's like, if you want, you can come, stay with us. And then, I don't know, by the end of the lease, Cape moved out and Daren stayed.
And that was the guy you were dating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'd been together for, I don't know, a year or two maybe.
Yeah, I kind of helped him out.
Yeah, you did a little. Well, yeah. You should leave.
Pretty much.
You helped him out, like move out. Is that what you're saying? Like,
I pretty much convinced him to just go ahead and move out.
Well, and I know there was one altercation at the bar. I'm pretty sure you threw him down a flight of stairs.
That was after we started seeing each other.
Oh, that would definitely help him move out.
Did you end that relationship first, or did you guys just sort of happen?
I don't think so. I think it just sort of morphed. I don't think there was like an official "I'm breaking up with you." It was just sort of like, well, I'm seeing him now.
Pretty much.
So figure it out sort of thing. I don't,
Sure.
yeah.
Find the door.
Which we still talk now, which is really funny. Like we're still friends.
But yeah, I was basically told him to find the door. And he eventually left. And of course, he didn't really go away. But
he kept trying to talk to me for a little while.
Well, we were together. We finally moved out of the apartment and moved in to your mom's.
To my mom's house. I think we went to my mom's apartment first.
And, you weren't pregnant.
No, I wasn't pregnant.
But we got married before we actually found out you were pregnant.
Right.
How long were you guys dating before you got married?
Like a year.
Yeah, maybe a year.
Is there an engagement story?
No, not really. 'Cause I just went through a divorce.
Yeah, he was not wanting to get married.
And I didn't want to get married again.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, man, it just sucked. And then the divorce was even worse. Even though it was only 3 years together, the divorce just didn't go good at all. Dad didn't get any custody of my kids.
Yeah, there was a lot of issue with the kids and things like that. I'm sure we'll get into.
Did you get visitation at least?
Yeah, he had visitation, but there was a lot of stuff with her taking the kids in different states, and then we wouldn't see him, and we were trying to track him down, and then we'd see him get regular visits for a while, and then she'd be gone again for 9 months or a year, and then she'd call us when she had a problem, or we'd have to pick him up at the police station because she left him alone for 2 weeks. There was a lot of issues.
Well, we helped her move. I don't know how many times.
Right, we did help her move. I
invited
her to move
in. She
in.
actually did live with us for
6
a
months.
week or two.
No, 6 months. Yeah, about 6 months.
Wow.
Because we went up to drop the kids off, and the place they were living in was a hovel. There was a hole next to the toilet. You could see to the floor below. And I was like, Daren, we can't leave the kids here.
Yeah.
I'm like, no one should be in this house. They were in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we were in our house in Carpentersville at that point. And I just said, I'm like, we're going to take the kids back. You need to pack up your stuff, and you can come stay with us till you get back on your feet to find a decent place, because this is not a decent place for the kids. So she was reluctant, but she did. Christina came and lived with us for 6 months with all 4 of the kids. And I think we had Jackie and DJ by that point. They were little.
Yeah, we did.
I think
So 5 kids, you guys and his ex-wife.
yeah, 6.
In
6
the
kids.
same house.
Yeah, in the same
In
house.
the same 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
The same 3
Yeah, because the 4 girls, we put all 4 girls into 1 bedroom.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
So
yeah.
how did you guys decide to get married then?
5 girls. I asked. I was the one that proposed.
You proposed.
Mm-hmm. Twice, because he told me no the first time.
Look at that. Very progressive.
How did you feel about that?
I was playing a little hard to get.
I don't know. We were on vacation in Washington, D.C. And I think I asked you before we left.
You did ask me before we left, and I said no. I don't ever want to be married.
I don't ever want to be married. But
Let's just. This
We're
is
good
working
the way
out
we
really
are.
well. Let's just keep it the way it is. We
we were in Washington, D.C.
We drove in a car.
Yeah, that
in a
Cavalier. We
station-
looked at that up
yeah.
the other day. What was it?
It's a 1984 Cavalier
Yes.
wagon.
With my mom and Beth and Judy.
Beth and Judy being her 2 younger sisters at
Yeah.
the time.
Because Judy was like, I don't know, 10 or something.
10 and Beth was like 12 or 13.
We went to go see my aunt and uncle in Washington, D.C. because they lived in Arlington. They worked for the State Department. So you could stay at their house. And
Yeah, and it was also April, and it was cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
the time,
cherry
right?
Yeah, oh yeah, cherry. It's unbelievable, man. It just litters the streets. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it's
We have
really-
not. And our son lives there.
right.
Him and
Oh,
Angie.
it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. You've never seen. It's just
We've seen
all
the
these-
trees, but not when they've been in
Yeah,
bloom.
they
Right,
full
right.
bloom, and then they lose all their
It's like snowing.
all the petals and everything, and then it's just the whole ground is completely white. It's
Wow.
like snow, but it was actually pretty cool. And of course, we're in the capital, so
which is cool.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, we did
I'm a
we
huge
did
history buff.
sightseeing.
I love old history, American history, and some of the stuff that our forefathers went through to start this
Mhm.
country. It's a pity to see what's going on today, but
Sidetracked.
Yeah, sidetracking.
Don't start talking politics.
So-
I'm not talking politics. I'm just saying our forefathers.
So she asked you say no.
Yeah.
And then that's in April. How much time passes?
Well, I think it was that week because we spent the week sightseeing, going to the zoo, going to Mount Vernon, going to the Capitol and all the different stuff. And then the last day, I said, hey, let's get married. I go, let's just call and see what they do in Washington, D.C., what you got to do to,
You wanted to get married right then and there.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So we called and you just had to have your license and stuff. So we went to the we went to the Justice of the Peace and went to a law library. My grandma was there and she gave me her wedding ring to borrow. So she came and then my mom, we were in blue jeans. I have the funniest pictures from it. And Judy's 10 and she's laughing her butt off behind us in the law library. And
Yep.
then we got married right there. You didn't need a blood test. You didn't need,
Just had to get a license.
yeah. And we got married right there.
Is that kind of the pattern of how you guys operate? We have this theory of how your wedding goes, so does your marriage. And got to get it right now. Let's do it. It's
Some
done.
of it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
because
so.
we ended up having another wedding back in 94. Was it 94 or 96 we did that?
Like a big one.
Oh, I
You
did.
can't remember that? We spent so much money with it.
Yeah, it was the big Catholic. I had the 8 bridesmaids and $2,000 worth of flowers because we had flower arches and flowers down the aisle of the church.
Had to pay off a Catholic priest.
Shut up. Yeah, you did have to sign a
I had-
contract.
yeah,
You
well, yeah.
did have to sign a contract because I'm Catholic. But at that time, the kids had been baptized and stuff, and I was actually in the choir at St. Catherine's. So I was teaching CCD sometimes too. So the kids were being raised in the Catholic faith. So he just had to sign a contract saying that he wouldn't not allow the children to be raised in the Catholic faith. So as long as us and the kids were practicing Catholicism, he didn't have to convert.
So
He's like,
why did you guys have the big wedding then? Since you'd already gotten married.
Oh, you'd have to ask her that.
Okay.
I was pretty happy with the money that I had in my pocket.
because every girl wants that big white wedding. I think it's just that dream that you have that you want that big white with everybody and your dad walking you down the aisle. Because my mom was at our first wedding. My dad wasn't there, obviously, because we were vacationing with my mom. And I think you just have, and you didn't have a big wedding with your first marriage either. So that was the other thing as we had talked about. So we were both in white. He wore a white tux and I had the white dress on. And
So how long after the first marriage was this big shindig?
8.
well, we got married in 88. And then the wedding, I want to say, was in 94, right?
And how old were your kids at the time?
They were little. 3 and 4, maybe, Jacqueline and DJ. Yeah, I think they were 3 or 4 because they were ring bearer and flower girl.
Yeah, because he's sporting.
Yeah, because I want to say he might have been in kindergarten. Or he was in preschool and Jackie wasn't. He was in preschool and Jackie was in kindergarten.
It's about the time you signed him up for dancing.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
I know.
So who said I love you first?
She said, I love you first.
She did? Even though you're the one that was pursuing her?
I was more or less just happy with what we had going on, and then she wanted to get married. I'm like,
and not have any kids. 4 kids later.
Yeah. Why you want to ruin a good thing? Why you want to get married? It's fine the way it is.
Right. He's not always very good at expressing emotion, so I think I express it and bring it out of him more often.
Is that true?
Sure.
Case in point.
Right. Yeah, like you're never going to be that person that's going to write me poems and strudel petals across the floor.
No,
I'm but you'll be the one that takes a day off work and surprise me and takes me downtown to the garden show because you know it's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of romance I get.
I'll even take you to the crappy one over at the Holiday Inn
tomorrow.
So how do you guys deal with conflict?
It depends on what the conflict is, I think.
We just yell at each other.
Sometimes. We don't yell very often, though.
I yell more than you do. Most of the time, you just
yell
tell
at
me to shut up.
objects.
Yeah, it's not that I'm yelling. So I don't yell at her. I'm not. She knows that I'm not really mad at her. I'm just mad in general. So I get emotional and I start to speak loud and say some stupid stuff. And she knows that it's not. It's not that I don't sit there and call her stupid or anything like that.
No, you're never going to name call her.
I don't do that. I'm upset with the situation. So yeah, it's no real name calling. It's be more, if anything, it's just be like, shut up. Don't say a word because every time you open your mouth, you're just pissing me off even more.
Well, and I was going to say, I don't think we've been in a fight. It's been years and years since we've been in a fight against each other about something.
Oh, since like one of us have slept on the couch or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't last that long.
It's probably been 15 or 20 years since we fought like that.
Best part about fighting is making up, honey. Everybody knows that. That's the best part.
So you guys haven't made up in 15 to 20 years.
Right, Yeah, I mean, usually if he's yelling about something, it's because the computer won't reboot. And then I'd be like, why are you in here throwing stuff in the garage? Stupid computer. I'm like, oh, well, that's helping.
So your conflict has changed over the years, then?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it was hard because when we had the kids and there was, like I said, there was different points with the stepkids when, we'd have them and then we'd have them for 9 months and then she'd take them on a visitation and then she'd decide she's keeping them. And then we'd go to try to get them back and she's moved, and then it was like a cat and mouse game trying to find the kids. And she went from Wisconsin to Indiana to Iowa, and we were like,
you guys chasing after her.
Yeah, chasing the kids and then
chasing her around. I never knew where I'd have to rely on my mom.
And she was only halfway telling because your mom didn't like me. So she was only halfway helpful of giving us information.
So I had to rely on my mom in order to talk to my kids occasionally whenever she would track them down because my ex-wife.
And of course, this is back before internet and, cell phones and all the tracking and all the social media and stuff. So it's like when you're gone, you're gone.
It was before they actually had child parenting laws and stuff.
Right. Well, because
now I believe with a divorce, I don't think you can take the child out of state.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
No.
And
and the other thing is we had her proven an unfit parent in Illinois, which is why we had the kids, and she had taken them. Yeah. And they said, oh, well, she's in Wisconsin now, so you have to prove her an unfit parent in Wisconsin. I'm like, why? Because she got a brain transplant when she crossed the state line. Right. I'm like, the kids are still in danger.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what was that like being a step parent for you?
I enjoyed it. I think I always liked had that vision of I wanted to be a housewife and a mom. That's my happiest spot is to be at home, cleaning the house.
I don't think so.
Cooking dinner. It's a princess. Okay, well, it's a princess in a big house of being a housewife and a mom.
I'm pretty sure when we met, it was more of a princess thing.
Well, I still have a little bit of princess in me. We've gone glamping, honey.
With a big Disney-like castle house.
Yes.
What do you mean a princess thing? What do you mean by that?
She
I have very high end tastes most of the time.
You're high maintenance.
I am high maintenance.
She's very high maintenance.
We've dealt with it. You have your own little issues too, but I mean, we've dealt with,
No, and
and I've calmed down a little bit over the years, but
What was it about the other person that you fell in love with?
his blue eyes.
Well, it certainly wasn't your cooking.
Yeah. I could not cook when we got married. I could not cook. Yes. I made like a couple of things.
Couldn't even use really a microwave.
I could cook everything in the microwave. I could cook
that came a little bit later where she could actually literally cook a whole entire dinner in a microwave.
In the microwave. I can make the whole thing come out. Yeah.
You should probably have a cook-off with Gene one of these days.
I'm like, I have only learned to cook.
You a microwave cooker too?
I'm not much of a cooker at all.
No.
I've only learned to cook the last couple of years since I've been off working full time because I spent so much time at work, then I was at home. So I started getting on Pinterest and then Pinteresting recipes and then trying to perfect
So
them.
Recipes, that's the key.
So yeah.
I've not gone there yet.
Yeah. So that's what I've done. I mean, and there's been a couple that have been like, okay, we can't eat this. Let's order pizza.
Yeah. There's been a couple where
we're like, ooh, what did I do?
Try this. Tell me what you think. It'd be like, oh man, we got to order.
I've gotten much better though.
I'm a brutally honest person.
Yeah, I'm pretty honest too though.
We kind of get that.
Yeah,
from you,
yeah. We are. We're pretty much honest with each other. If
that's
we don't
definitely something we have in common.
Oh yeah. We don't.
There's no sugar coating.
Nope.
Don't ask me if you don't want to know.
I think one of the best analogies of that, when I used to race, you already know what I'm going to say. So anyway,
This is not your scooter.
No, I had.
No, this was the four-wheeler.
I raced four-wheelers on a racetrack, on a motocross track. Jump, turn, all the whole thing. I'd jump, whatever anybody else was doing, I was doing. I was 44 years old racing against kids, and I thought, man, I guess it was probably my midlife crisis.
Yeah. Well, I think you've always wanted to go fast.
Instead of buying a Corvette, I got me a four-wheeler. We went racing, and we had a lot of fun. And it was a family thing. The family always went with. The family always helped out with everything.
Right. Came to the track. We'd get up early.
Getting stuff set up, all that stuff. Yeah. Although they'd sleep all the way to the track, but when we got there, they would jump up and start helping out.
And you guys have 8 kids?
Altogether?
Well,
yeah.
Altogether,
6 girls, 2 boys.
Yeah. The other 4 live in Iowa.
Right.
So anyway, we were at a race. I think it was the first race because normally it's a 2-race format. I was kind of running in like, I don't know, 4th. Was it like 4th place or something? Anyway, so the first moto is like only for like a gate pick. The second moto is the one that really counts. And I was just like, whatever, I was content with 4th place, and I kind of sallied a jump, which means
you backed off of it.
I totally backed off of it. I let off the throttle, and I stayed in 4th place instead of going for it. I probably could have picked up a couple positions had I just went ahead and jumped it. Anyway, long story short, try to make it short. I come off the racetrack, and she comes up to the four-wheeler looking at me like,
I'm going to smack you.
What the hell was that? I'm like, what? She's like, I saw that. She's like, you just going to sally? I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of had some traffic. She's like, no. She's like, I saw the whole thing. She's like, if you're just going to sally and not even try, then what's the point in even doing this? And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, who are you? What'd you do with my life?
Where's the support, right?
She was
being
pushing.
supportive in her own.
I'm like, this is expensive. You're dragging us out here. It's costing us a couple $100 every weekend. It's a $10,000 machine you've invested
you could have gotten
into
second out of that.
quad.
Instead, you just went ahead and settled for 4th. And she goes, that's not why we're here. And,
it doesn't do us any good unless you're podium finishing.
Has that been helpful in your relationship? The fact that you guys just call each other out on it?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. We're brutal. Like you said, we're brutally honest with each other.
Yeah, because it helps us as a support, so we know when we can.
So if I come home from work and she paints the living room, while I'm gone,
okay,
and I don't like it, I'll be like, that looks like crap. I don't like it. I thought we were going to talk about this first. She's like, well, I just wanted to try it, and normally it's just a little spot where she'll try it, and I'll be like, no, that's not. And I'm not going to.
Yeah,
we don't sugarcoat stuff for each other. That's pretty much.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah.
We're even probably more so to our kids too. I mean,
Yeah, our kids are pretty brutally honest now too, with their quick
Yeah,
sense of humor from being raised by us.
Yeah.
Was there a time that it didn't go well?
Oh yeah, we've had our moments.
Yeah, we've had our issues. We've
Like that one time when you had a boyfriend. Yeah.
I had a boyfriend for a while. That didn't go so
Oh,
well.
okay.
Yeah.
What's the story with that?
So I don't know. It was a combination of things. I handled things wrong. You handled things wrong. I had a boyfriend for a while.
How far into the relationship? How long were you married when that happened?
8 though.
No, more than that. 88, 98.
And how old are the kids?
The kids were in grade school. Like DJ was in 5th grade. Jacqueline might have been in middle school, 6th grade, I'm thinking.
Well, how much older is
there.
Jacqueline than Shani?
Well, Shani's 21 and
It
Jacqueline's
was
30.
9 years.
So 9 years?
9 years
In-
into your
9
marriage?
years. Yeah.
10. Yeah, it was right after what is it? The 8. What is that's the 8-year itch or something like that?
7
7-year
7
itch.
year.
7-year
Yeah.
itch.
So you were a little late.
So thanks.
She held out for a
Yeah.
little
So
more.
I don't know. I mean, we were having a rough patch. I think I had gone back to work. You were stopping at the bar a lot on the way home from work, which aggravated me a lot. Yeah, and it was just one of those things that we were working together and ended up hitting it off type thing. And
Yeah, because apparently I was
a bit of a jerk. Well, you were a bit of a jerk. There was a lot of times I felt like I was a single parent. You didn't go to parent-teacher conferences. You didn't participate in the stuff the kids were doing in school. And I felt like I was a single mom, but I was married.
How long was that going on for?
5 or 6 years at least.
Before you had an affair?
Well,
no, the boyfriend was there for 5 or 6
Okay.
years.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was
okay.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
because most of it was because I wasn't ever there.
Right.
But I also worked a lot.
You did
I was
work a
trying
lot.
I was trying to.
And we both handled it.
Did
wrong.
you
It was
did you
something
know she had a boyfriend?
Not right away, unless you suspected.
I suspected it. That's probably why. That's why I started going.
That's
to
probably
the
why he
cinema.
started drinking more because he suspected.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know how to handle it. And,
So do you guys stay living together?
No, we actually split up for a
We
while.
did split up for a little bit, but we lived together for I don't know most of the relationship, I guess.
I don't know. I think we were only apart for like a year.
Yeah, because I ended up moving out with the boyfriend
I moved in with my sister for a little while.
for a little bit.
And the kids were where?
With her.
They were with me.
Okay.
Oh, because I stayed in the house for a little bit. But when did I move into I moved into the apartment on Washington at some point. And then you had Jackson DJ. I had the little ones.
I had Jackson DJ with me on
because they were still going to school,
in
and that what
Woodstock.
made more sense
Mm-hmm.
because they were going to school.
right. And that was tough.
It was.
Trying to be a single father. Oh my God. That was like
I was
So you were
like-
both single parents.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now to try and hold down a full yeah.
I do it much
It's-
better being
it's-
the house on the house front than he does. He doesn't do it very well.
No, because it's hard.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
It's
were
really
working
hard.
full time.
Oh yeah, I'm
And
working
Right.
full
kids.
time.
Yeah, we were both working full time
Right.
at that point.
Yeah, she's busy. She was with the boyfriend, so all I had was just me and the 2 kids. And
Right. And
I had
then
to
he
get
would
them up,
you
get
did
them
you and
off
you
to
school.
school, make sure
And you
they
did
had
go to
lunch.
daycare though and pick up the 2 little ones till I got off work sometimes too.
Right.
Yeah,
And you would pick
it
up
was-
Shannon and
God, it
Devin.
was so hard.
I could tell how frustrating it was. You're
He's
doing that
fidgeting.
fidgeting
He's
thing.
fidgeting.
He's got a
Yeah,
little
I'm
fidget
fidgeting
clicker.
totally.
fidget clicker
So
because he's quit smoking. Right?
1 month. That's awesome.
Yeah, after 35 years, I smoked.
yeah, I know. I'm excited
And I-
you
and-
quit. The heart
And
attack didn't make you
for
quit. The
most part,
freaking flu made you quit.
It was a pack a day that
Wow.
I smoked, so I'm saving like $45 a week.
Yeah, it was like
Wow.
$170
Yeah.
a month.
Mhm.
I crunched the numbers for him. I was
Yeah.
like, look, buy a bottle of Don Julio instead.
Yeah, not to mention saving your heart there too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another
So
thing.
so you move out.
So I move out and we're in the apartment and the guy I'm with commits suicide. Lets me find him.
Oh,
After I've been dating him for 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Because we never really stopped seeing each other.
We didn't. Our attraction has always been, even while I was seeing
Yeah.
him,
So she gets
we
a boyfriend.
still kind of would still see each other.
Oh yeah, you show up at my house all the time.
It wasn't all the time. Once a week, maybe.
My ass, it was like 2 or 3 times a week.
Only only some weeks. I had to get the kids from you too because you had the kids.
So you were living with the boyfriend for 5 years?
No,
not even.
Not even.
6
Not
months.
even.
6
We've
months.
been dating.
Okay.
Well, I was still at home in our house for 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
And then I was like,
and you
all right.
had more children too, right?
Yeah, we had Shannon and Devin.
Mm-hmm.
So by that time, we have all 4 of our kids. And that's where he took the 2 older ones and I took the 2 younger ones.
Yeah.
So, because it was just easier. They were in daycare and whatnot.
And were you planning on still maintaining those 2 relationships, or was it getting more serious?
At some point, I don't know. We filed for divorce. Both of us filed for divorce.
We spent a lot of money on lawyers
for not to get divorced.
Sure.
I don't know. We always say we're not divorced because we're bad at paperwork, because we're just, you filed and I filed and then Marty died.
Yeah, all the paperwork was done. All we had to do was sign it.
But we were still just hesitant. I think we just still knew that,
Was he depressed? Did you know?
He was. He had been, there was a lot going on that I didn't know and didn't find out till afterwards. He had been, and I knew he dabbled in cocaine and hung around cocaine, but he had got caught the second time in DuPage County with cocaine, and they were coming after him with that 1, 2, 3 strike law or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when he got caught when he was 19, now that he was 44 or whatever it was, they were like, oh, well, obviously you've been a drug dealer since you were from 19 to 44 and we just caught you again. And they wanted him to turn over on people. And I remember him talking about it, that he was going back and forth and he didn't know what he was going to do. But I don't think I realized to the point how serious it was.
He was really stressed.
Yeah. Well, and then I come to find out later that he had track marks between his toes. I was unaware that he was that far gone. And I never saw like a hypodermic needle or how he did it. And I was in denial of it. And it was funny because it was my husband who said to me, I was like, the coroner's wrong. I'm like, there's no way there was track marks. And my husband looked at me and he goes, honey, the coroner does this for a living. Do you really think if it was like varicose veins, he wouldn't know the difference? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that doesn't really sound right, does it? And, and then it came to pass after talking, he had a very way of compartmentalizing people. Mm-hmm. So like it would be his work and his friends and no one really kind of got a whole story. So it wasn't until after he passed away and like we all talked that we kind of had a whole story to realize how much trouble he was in and how addicted he was.
Mm-hmm. How did you handle that at that time?
I didn't do very well. I mean, I don't know. I stayed in the apartment for another 6 months. I freaked out.
He died.
I took 3 weeks off of work.
Yeah.
Were you alone when you found him? Were your kids with you?
The really weird thing is the kids were with me and I went downstairs and realized what was going on. And I got myself together enough and took them to daycare because I knew I couldn't call the police and have them here with that. Mm-hmm. And so I dropped them off at daycare and then went back to the house to call the police.
Wow.
And at the time I was pissed because I was going to go yell at him to take out the garbage. And I went to go move him and it should have dawned on me because he snored really bad that he wasn't snoring and he already had rigor mortis. So he was stiff and I went to move him and that I was like, and that when I lost it for a second. And then I don't know.
Did he overdose?
He drank antifreeze.
Oh.
Wow.
So it was definitely intentional.
Yeah.
So how did this affect the two of you?
Well, I was pretty broke up about it, as you can imagine.
I think it was the only way.
I don't believe you.
I think it was the only way we could be back together because there were periods of time when I would break up with him and then come back home and then he'd be calling our house or.
The guy was insane. He called me no matter what. He called, I don't know how many times I changed my phone number.
He'd find out what it was.
And calling me.
What do you call you about?
Have the phone off the hook.
Anything.
Oh, leave my family alone.
Yeah,
that was a big one. That's what he kept saying. Leave my family alone,
Yeah, he was insane.
There was honestly, a little bit.
Is he just like I said? He wouldn't, and she wouldn't even know it because he would do it,
and then he'd deny it, and I'd be like, "You're making that up," and
I'm like, no, I'm not making it up. The guy calls. He calls me constantly.
And then he'd start calling the house, and we'd have to leave. If I'd be like, "All right, I need a break. I need to figure out what I'm doing. You need to figure out what you're doing," because he was getting divorced too.
Oh yeah, because he was married too.
Yeah, when we first
met. This has got to be a really tough situation for you, Daren. Just kind of your wife kind of leaves you and has this affair with a boyfriend, and you're a single parent. You're taking care of the kids, trying to do a full-time job, and then at the same time, not knowing what's going on with the marriage,
Yeah,
right?
we're still kind of going back and forth with each
Going
other.
back and forth, yeah. And then
Because we were still
like I
definitely
said,
attracted to each
he's calling
other.
you, harassing you.
Oh yeah,
What's going through your head?
I thought he was nuts, and I figured I thought maybe he'll just go away. I thought
he was very persistent. I think
Yeah,
being dad, that was the other thing, as we had talked about, that us getting back to where we are now, he would have to be gone, because if he was still alive, and even if I cut it off, he would still be interfering
stalk you
forever.
Yeah. Mhm.
It was just,
He'd be one of those guys that just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was, I think,
very,
a little
I mean, it
little
would
messed
be,
up.
yeah. I mean, I had a secret phone with like calls and stuff. I mean, and I probably got calls 15 times a day. And it wasn't until after I went into, because I did go to Turning Point and get some counseling and stuff like that after the fact, that I realized that it's abusive. It's abusive to be called 15 times a day, to have someone tracking your every movement of what you're doing, even if they're just calling to say, hey, how are you, honey? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
It's still intrusive and on your time. And you don't realize it.
So what are you doing for those 6 months?
Working.
Okay.
I was just working.
Because you didn't go back.
No, I didn't go
to
back.
Daren.
I waited.
Okay.
When we started
were
seeing each
working.
other a little more, I was managing the paper factory at that time out at the Huntley Outlet Malls. And so I was just kind of going through the motions and working a lot. I threw myself into work. That was always my favorite thing to do. Because at that particular store, I could go in at any time. I could stay there till midnight, or,
I think, wasn't that the time? That was about the time when Tony lost his foot.
Yeah, I think so. And you got involved with Tony.
Yeah, so I had a
my
friend
best
of mine
friend's
who lost
husband.
his foot, and I was back, and I was, it was pretty traumatic for him. And he went through some things where he tried to keep his foot, and they would have had to do so many surgeries to it. It was so mangled, it wasn't even funny. So
Was it an accident?
yeah,
He was on a motorcycle and someone drove through an intersection.
Yeah.
He got broadsided on a bike.
Yeah.
It just, his foot was so bad. So after he was up somewhere in Wisconsin, because we had to drive him. Renee and I drove him back and forth.
Yeah, that's where the hospital was up in Madison.
Yeah,
Milwaukee,
so you had to make a
something.
decision on whether or not he wanted to try and keep his foot and go through all the operations, or just amputate it and try and use a prosthetic leg.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember talking to the doctor and a couple of other people that there was a girl that was back in the hospital after a year of surgeries on her foot to try and save her foot, and they were there to amputate it.
So after going through it all.
After trying to go through surgeries for a year, she ended up getting like staph infections, and it was
still had to amputate.
Yeah, and
so you got involved in that.
Yeah, so I turned my buddy onto her so he could hear her story of how difficult it was for her to go. And he talked to her, and it wasn't 15 minutes after that. He's like, cut it off.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm done.
Yeah. So anyway, I had a lot to deal with. I had the kids to deal with, and then my buddy's leg to deal with.
Yeah, and then you guys did a fundraiser and stuff.
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's the same 6 month period.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah,
Kept us
so
both distracted. I think that
Totally
distracted us into our own lives.
Totally kept me distracted. Like I said, I was back and forth.
I mean, we would still get together a little bit, but it definitely distracted us out. And then I think I called him, and when my lease was up on the apartment, and I said, well, what are we going to do? I said, my lease is up. Am I renewing this lease here and staying here another year? And that was when he said, he's like, no, why don't you come and move back? Move in here.
On Shriver.
Yeah.
And then we got back together. And
did you want her to come back the whole time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, I knew when I met her.
He always said that.
Yeah.
I knew right away when I met her. I thought to myself that woman right there would be the woman I spend the rest of my life with. I just
we have a very chemical attraction to each other. That's always been
there. It's pretty good attraction.
Pheromones.
And how have things been since then? How long ago was that you moved back?
2000, 2001.
So it's been 19 years.
Yeah.
No, Devin's 19 years old.
Yeah, but I think he passed away too. Oh, maybe it was 2002? 2000, yeah. Yeah, maybe between 2001 and 2002.
And
so
then,
about 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
About 17 years ago.
And you guys said you kind of don't fight like you used to.
No,
Is that about
the
time?
No, I didn't. I stopped So I kind of found out that part of my drinking problem was whiskey.
Yes, it makes them mean.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but certain alcohol affects people certain ways.
Absolutely. Right.
Some people can drink a half a bottle of tequila and be cool as a cucumber.
Happy and fun.
That same person drinks a half bottle of whiskey and look out. You just lit a bomb.
I might be related to some people like that.
Yes.
So I found out that basically I was not a whiskey person. Or,
No, there's a lot of fights. I mean, the Jack Daniels will set him off. He used to walk into a bar in our early 20s and he'd come home and I'd be like, is that your blood or somebody else's? Literally.
Is that when I was bartending, you guys would come into the bar?
Oh, we'd go into...
No, I think...
That was right around the time we were having our big wedding because we went there with all the... I think I have a picture of you guys doing a shot at Scott's Inn.
Yeah, that was before.
Am I in the picture?
You are in the picture.
Awesome.
You didn't know them at the time, right?
No. I mean, like
other
after
than,
we started the camp.
I just knew that she was a bartender.
That she was cool. And then...
That's so weird, right?
I know. Talk about small world.
So Karen's sister is married to my cousin.
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up.
All knowing each other. Yeah, because we went in there to do shots with all the groomsmen. You guys were getting fitted across the street at that Amy's Bridal or whatever it was. Yep. And then we went over there.
But yeah, we actually didn't really do shots when we went down to Scott's. We just drank beer.
Yeah, for the most part, played darts. We had a bunch of best friends that
played pool and darts.
Yeah.
I don't remember having to break up any fights with you guys anyways.
Usually it wasn't. It was usually pretty,
unless Cape showed up.
Probably ran out of whiskey.
I was going to say, and he was way gone by then, really. Yeah,
but I think back then I was drinking. And like I said, I didn't figure it out until
you came after me.
You started seeing Marty.
Right. And that night you came after me.
And I figured it out sometime during that. I didn't throw you into a snowbank. We ran in.
I have the police report.
Please. Please.
Anyway, his story is that he didn't throw me.
I had Devin to the side.
I had Devin in my arms, and I
the
was
cops saw it. Oh my God!
And so I got tossed into the snowbank, and so the cop pulled up the driveway to help me out of the snowbank with the baby.
She was sitting in the snowbank,
and he was sitting in the couch, and he was calm in the house. But after they got him out the front door, it took 8 cops to get you into the car. I think they said. And then you didn't.
And that was a whiskey-induced night.
It was.
Okay.
It was.
Yes, it was.
Yes, and you had taken the bird cage and flung stuff, and and I hit the panic button on the alarm. We had an alarm system. That's how I got the cops there.
Yeah,
because you were coming. Yeah, you were coming after me at that point. Pretty good.
All right. Well, this is like an episode on cops, right?
It was.
It totally sounds like that.
I mean, and from there we went. That's how we kind of got in. DCFS got involved in Turning Point and counseling. You ended up going through anger management. So I mean, some good things came out of it, I guess.
So apparently, if you work 50 hours a week to try and pay for your house, so your family has a roof over their head, and you find out that your wife is cheating on you, and you flip out.
That's the wrong
apparently, you are the idiot. So
that needs anger management.
Yeah, needs anger management.
I need anger management because I just found out that my world is absolutely coming apart.
Was that before she moved out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was kind of the how she got me out of the house was
because then I got to order protection.
Once I got in trouble. You can get an order of protection, and now I can't even go near my house. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I still got to pay for it.
This is like there's a checklist here. I think you guys have hit every single one.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we've hit a lot of them.
Yeah, live and learn, man. That's what happens. When you live and learn, you find out.
How do you actually overcome all that anger and still want her to be part of your life?
I think because we were still attracted to each other through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we don't dwell on it. I mean,
no. The only time we talk about it is when
we do stuff like this.
Jean, right? Hey, thanks for bringing up a sore subject. I appreciate it.
Now you can play it over and over again.
Right.
You ready to leave? Let's get out of here.
I thought you were staying the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just. I don't know. I guess I don't know. He knew he handled things wrong with us. It was like, I think we both knew that we had mistakes in it. I handled it wrong. I should have came to him and told him I was feeling like a single parent in a married relationship. And he should have came to me and told him that, he was working a lot and feeling underappreciated, and he went to alcohol and I went to another guy for support, basically.
And what's interesting is he was being neglectful with you,
right?
And this other guy was stalking you.
Well, and he was stepping in to do those things. He would go to parent-teacher conferences. I don't know if the teachers at grade school didn't think that he wasn't my children's father, because he showed up at every fun fair, every parent-teacher conference, any event at school. He went with the kids. Wow. He was super involved in that. Mm-hmm. And that I was like, well, that's what I wanted, Mm-hmm. And so that was part of my attraction, not to mention my blindness of some of the other issues that he had, because I was so...
Yeah, but at the same time, he didn't make enough money to even buy a house. So that was...
Right, so mm-hmm. It was like...
How is your guys' relationship similar or different than your parents, or what you witnessed as kids?
I don't think our relationship is like either one of our parents.
My parents had no problem showing affection in front of each other.
Yeah, they
or
do that.
Or in front of anybody.
Right.
My dad or my mom had no problem.
Right.
They made out in front of people or whatever in public.
Although your dad cheated when he was younger.
Yeah. Well, they both kind of went. My mom, they got tired of each other, so they've separated for a little while, and they both
had affairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relationships.
They had relationships. Because I'll never forget George trying to. My mom's boyfriend took me up north to Sheboygan to go fishing. And that just did not work out. I was like...
You're not my dad.
Yeah.
And they separated and they got back together also?
Yeah, they hit. Yeah.
Oh.
They just separated. They never got divorced or anything.
Yeah, I think my dad found... He was with one of the waitress girls from a little restaurant not too far from the house. Yeah, he started seeing her, and then basically they just agreed to just go ahead and see other people for a while and, get separated, see what happens. And eventually they ended up getting back together. And
so kind of similar.
Yeah, what did they have?
They
had
have
like 30, no, they had more than that.
What? Well, they had their 50th year anniversary party that we had in Crystal Lake. How many years were they married?
50?
Yeah. So how many years? And then it was 56, 57 years they were married?
I don't know. It was a long time.
Something like that.
So that's
away.
Not really common, right? For couples to kind of go through that stress.
Especially
and then
that back then, too.
And
to
get
be
back
separated, to get back to have other relationships.
Because
and
you're
get back
talking back
together.
in the 60s
At
and
that
70s,
time, they
too.
had, there was 5 of us kids. There was three girls and 2 boys.
2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And they separated. And my dad actually left and moved out. It was really strange. Never pictured my mom and dad getting separated. But my mom and dad, they kind of had an abusive relationship too.
They were.
Like,
he was a drinker.
Before my younger brother came along, and I was, 6, 7 years old, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember him fighting, arguing back and forth.
So when all that was happening between you and Karen, it seemed kind of familiar because
you
grew up with that.
My mom and dad did it. It just seemed normal.
Right.
That's what happened. Couples fight. I mean,
and break up and date other people and come back together.
Full circle, yeah, pretty much. Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, my parents didn't come back together. Yeah, because my parents got divorced when I was in high school.
Your mom.
And my mom to this day still holds a grudge. I think they've been divorced for 37 years and we can't have them in the same building together. We used to have separate parties because my mom wouldn't come to a party that my dad was at for a birthday party.
That's her side. Her side was like ridiculous.
Super drama.
Crazy.
I'm still hoping she's showing up at my daughter's wedding that I'm planning in October. I'm like, Mom, if you can't
you're not
get
having
lost,
2 weddings.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, if you can't get lost in a reception with 150 people in it, I don't know what to tell you. And Beth even told her, she's like, well, that's really silly, Mom, if that's how you're thinking.
Did he leave her?
No, my mom filed for divorce.
Okay.
So she claims he was cheating. I've asked them a little bit separately. She claims he was cheating. He said he wasn't. He said it was because he had lost his job and wasn't working. And that she gotten a settlement in from a car accident or something. And that she just decided to sour wild oats when she was in her 40s. And it was like her midlife crisis. Mm. And I think she filed for divorce thinking that he would change. And I think she was surprised that he went with it.
That he went through with it.
Yes, I think so.
That's why she has the grudge then.
I think so. Because he's been remarried now and is happily married for 20 years.
And did she ever remarry?
No, she was with someone for like 6 or 7 years, which I thought they were going to get married, but he ended up cheating on her and leaving.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And then she says things like this past June, I called Beth because I was like, you're not going to believe what Mom said. She's like, what? I'm like, she told me that today would have been her 50th wedding anniversary. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah, where did that come from?
I know. I was like, and it was like, it wasn't like, you know, like you had like a Halloween wedding or something. It was like June 3rd, you know? So I was like, I told her.
Like on the forefront of her mind all the time.
Like my mouth dropped open and I'm like, well, I guess you dodged a bullet there, didn't you, Mom? I said, I go that.
What do you say, right?
Right. I did not know what to say.
her?
I literally called Beth. I was like, I can't believe she's still dwelling on this. They've been divorced. I mean, they started dating in 8th grade. So they were together like all through high school and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I get it. But yeah, she's just very bitter.
Wow.
Super duper bitter.
Yeah.
Super duper bitter.
Super
She
duper
can hold a grudge.
Alanis
like
Morissette bitter.
She can hold a grudge like nobody's business.
Pretty much like that. Wow.
So
you
I mean,
nailed
I
that.
guess, yeah. So I guess we had a little bit of both ends in marriages. I don't know, but I don't think we really replicated our marriages really from either one. I mean, I guess in the
No, it sounds like you guys
Kind
took
of.
what you were exposed to and actually kind of
Changed
evolved
it
from
to
there.
ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Did better than that.
you know,
Yeah, I don't know.
Did the
I mean-
the brutal honesty thing, did that come after you guys got help? Or were you always that way?
I think we were always brutally honest to a certain extent. It got more so maybe as we got older. But I think we've always been pretty brutally honest.
Because that's
you know?
that's typically the most dysfunctional part about being in a relationship that's codependent or there's an addiction is that not being honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it just doesn't help. I mean, you know, and we went through, I mean, even that was even when we found out Shannon and Devin aren't biologically his. He's on the birth certificate. He was there, but the DNA test said otherwise. And then, but he's always been their dad, you know, so.
And that was with Marty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And Marty wasn't there for that.
Well, he was there for the DNA test.
Well,
He's the one that wanted the DNA test because he wanted to know.
He tried to be there in the room when the kids were born, but he didn't want to be anywhere I was because he knew that.
Yeah, that might come to fisticuff.
Oh yeah, I
think-
tried to meet up with
did
him. I
you
don't
know
how
at the
many times
time?
to kick his
No.
ass, and that guy just
Neither
would
one
never
of you
show
knew
up.
who was the dad.
No, not at the time.
No, not at the time.
But
No, 'cause
but Marty's
we were still sleeping together.
and Marty's going to your kids' school and stuff.
correct.
My
But then
older-
he's
my
not
older
at
kids.
your
Older
guys' kids.
Our
Our
kids.
kids.
Yeah, but
Our
then
older
he's
ones.
not at the birth of his kids.
Correct.
But he
Well, no,
doesn't
like I said-
But he
necessarily
did-
know it's his kids.
Correct. There was
No, and I'm sure
I think
after I
that's
left,
why.
he probably showed up, didn't he?
No, not at the hospital.
No,
No.
that's amazing.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Yeah,
No,
he-
'cause
he
I don't
just-
How
think
did
he
you
knew.
choose that? How did you choose to have Daren there and not Marty?
She didn't have a choice.
Because he was my husband. I was living at his house. We were
Yeah, I
still
was
together
gonna
at
be
that
there.
point.
Okay.
I wasn't in the apartment. I
Got
didn't
it.
move into the apartment until after the kids were. I mean,
I've
Devin was
been-
probably 2.
I've been in the
Mhm.
delivery room for every single
Every
one of
of
my
them.
kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every one of them. I cut the umbilical cords.
Well,
Yeah, I was there.
Legally, you're the one that has the right.
Correct.
Right? Being
Correct.
Yeah.
married,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
I'm
only
even
thing that
talking
worked
like my
out-
first
The
three
first
with my
ones he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I was there.
I
cut
can
the
remember
umbilical
we
cord.
were in the apartment when Christina went into labor with Ashley, his youngest, and Ed had to come get him from our apartment because Christina was going to have Ashley, and he took off out of the house to go
Mhm.
have Ashley. So, and we were already together by that point. So,
Surviving an affair is a very difficult thing for couples. If you guys were to give some advice to couples that might be going through something like that, what would you say?
it's easier to walk away,
Oh, it's so much easier to quit
but it's better at the other side.
Why?
I mean,
because then you find out who each other really are. You find out what you're really made out of. How tough are you?
right?
How thick is your skin? You know what I mean?
Well, the stuff the kids have said, the kids have to
I
beg me.
know. I
to
know
get
people that
divorced, Dad. I'm sick of the fighting.
Yeah, and I know people that some of my friends who, some of them know what we went through, and they're like, hey, how could you even be with her? I said it's unconditional, man. I knew from the first time I met her that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, and it was just I just don't see that ever changing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to be with anybody else. There's nobody else that makes me feel like she does when we're together. I guess, I don't know, compliment each other?
Yeah.
Or just...
Yeah, and it's just taken us all this. And I mean, and like now we're best friends for the most part. When you don't aggravate me.
Yeah, but I still want to kill you sometimes. That's best friends.
Right.
That's best friends.
You know, and it's nice
right.
because our older kids say they like to see that from them going to begging us for a divorce. They're like, I hope I can have a relationship like you and Dad have. You know, 'cause that's awesome.
After hoping for,
please get divorced. You know, and now they're like, and so that's kind of cool to see our older ones, to give that example to them that you can get through whatever.
You can get through it.
You know.
You can get through it. You just have to want it.
Right.
I mean, it's like we just said it. It is so much easier to just...
Yeah, you could walk away and just be like, fuck it.
Go get a lawyer, spend... What'd you spend?
Well, I spent 10 grand. You spent 5.
I spent more than that, honey. I spent like 9. We were $1,000 apart from each other.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill was not cheap.
No, I know.
For nothing.
For nothing. I know. We always laugh.
When I knew that we were going through a divorce, my sister had a lawyer, Bill Feta.
Yeah.
Who literally dragged her ex-husband across the coals. This guy was a true professional, man. And I was
He's good at what he does.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, so as soon as I found out she got a lawyer, I'm like, I asked my sister, I'm like, Denise, I need Bill's number. Like, this ain't happening. I'm not going down without a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I hired a pretty decent
lawyer.
We both
had decent lawyers, yeah. Both of them were shysters.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably. I'm sure they
sneaky.
thought it was probably funny, and I'm guessing they you got 2 people that. How long were we together for? 12, 13, 14 years, whatever it was.
Right.
And now we're ready to kill each other, and spend all this.
And then
money.
you don't get divorced.
And then we don't get divorced.
All the paperwork was all done.
It was all done.
Oh, they don't care. They got paid.
How long was
They
that
got paid.
process?
Oh God,
A year and
About
a
a
half.
year.
Yeah.
Where were you in your relationship when? Was that towards the end?
I don't know. I mean,
After
I guess
Marty
there was a period
passed?
when we didn't talk, but
I'm trying to think.
it's a long time ago now. I'm old.
There was only
Was it
a
after
short,
all the kids are born?
but there was only a short period of time where we did not see each other.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was like maybe 2-3 months tops.
Yeah. But
Because-
otherwise,
Was Marty
because-
in the picture at the time?
Oh yeah, she was with Marty at the time.
Yeah.
So that's when I moved in with my
I think that's
sister.
maybe when you were
And
living
then I tried to get a date with a girl that she just happened to know, and she goes over and threatens her.
Well, it was my sister's friend. You have to go find your own women, not
Right.
anyone that I might
I didn't know there were rules.
There's rules.
There's the girl code.
Yeah.
There's rules.
And I shot that down.
Yeah,
so
well,
she
there's a
did
guy
not-
code.
Yeah,
not,
right. That didn't work.
Right.
She did not go.
Yeah, she was all
There's
fine.
a lot of rules being
She
broken
was all
here.
fine and dandy with it, and I call her a day later, and she's like, "Well, I don't think so." I'm like, God, and
And then you come to find out that not to mention my sisters intervened too.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
like, you can't go out with them.
you
So,
can't go out with him. That's my sister's ex-husband.
Rachel is my sister Judy's best friend. So.
Okay.
I think we need like a chart here.
The
To
family.
kind of
right, to keep
diagram
track
all
of
of
this.
this.
I know
No,
it's insanity.
And I didn't even realize how young Rachel was either.
At the time,
Oh,
either,
yeah.
yeah.
Rachel was very
She was
young.
just cute and blonde, and that's what
Yeah.
he liked.
Oh, and she would have definitely went out with me.
Right,
Except
because you were sweet. And
she had a little talk with Beth.
So, did you date anyone during the separation?
I tried. I had dated this one chick, and we went out to dinner. I took her out to this place, a steakhouse, and
that was out of stake.
They were out of steak.
They were out of steak.
They're out of fucking. How do you get out of steak?
If it's a steakhouse,
There's a great
It was a steakhouse.
There's a
on-
great
I
first
would
date.
think the
It
word
was-
steak.
Was that the one on 31?
No, it's on 120.
It was in
called
Lily
the
Lake or
Longhorn.
whatever.
Okay.
It was called the Longhorn, and I'll never forget it. I was like, "How can you be?" I mean, we just drove from Algonquin. I mean, we could have just went to Port Edwards, but how can you be out of steak? It's a steakhouse.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like, well, we got pork chops. I'm like, I did.
Sorry, we're out of beer. It's a bar.
You know?
So I imagine the date went well
Yeah.
then.
I think you actually called me and told me how bad that date was after the
It was
fact, actually.
horrible, man.
Do these old things still come up for you guys, or are you guys pretty resolved?
No, I think we laugh at him now because when I want to drag him to like a garden show, he's like, "Where's that boyfriend now?" So he can go to the garden show. Now I think it's more of a, we kind of let it go to the most part. And
I still take you to garden shows.
I know you do.
I've taken you to
but it'll be side comments. And we did get Social Security when Marty died, which was nice for the kids. So that was helpful.
Yeah,
and it would have been
because he got the blood test done.
Correct. So
if he hadn't have done that,
one of his friends told me that he probably did that, and of course, Social Security is way much more than you would have ever gotten on.
How old were the kids when you had that test done?
They were toddlers, I want to say, because.
So they've always known.
Yeah, they have always known. We've always been fairly honest with them that
Yeah, they know.
Yeah, we've never. Not that they don't consider Daren their dad or anything.
Yeah, so they were too young to even know him.
They don't have. Devin doesn't have any memory of him. Shannon has a little, but it's more like
I have
a picture.
Like probably 10 clients that I've over the years that, as teenagers, found out the person who was raising them
was not there.
Biologically their dad.
That's more damaging.
It is.
Than.
It's very damaging.
Yeah.
So
it's too much of a shock at that
and
point.
We're just too honest.
And they found out because there was like a fight,
Right.
Well, he's not your dad anyway. Like, wow.
Yeah. No.
So that's cool that you guys dealt with it like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they've just always been like, because we've even said with the estrangement of the other 4, with Felicia isn't his, but she's the only dad he's known. So the other 3, there's times when he doesn't feel like he's a father to them. And he's more of a father to Shannon and Devin, who technically, biologically, he's not. And it's just from environment and shared time.
Yeah, bonding.
Tell us about the heart attack.
Oh, that was like right when my
grandson, the day
born.
After our grandson was born.
It was the same day.
Yeah, it was basically that same night, wasn't it?
How long ago was that?
3 years.
Has it really been 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, I had a heart attack.
What did it feel like?
It was
How'd you know that you were having one?
He didn't. He thought he had food poisoning.
We went to Taco Bell and I thought
blamed
I was
it on
just
Taco
having really
Bell.
bad heartburn.
So you thought you had food poisoning?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
were you throwing up? Were you like, what kind of pain did you have?
It was like heartburn.
Okay.
It was like a lot like heartburn. It was.
But he couldn't get comfortable or fall asleep.
Yeah. Normally with heartburn, you can like try and lay on your side or take something for it or whatever, and you can deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried taking a couple of antacids and I tried laying up. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I think I tried for a couple of hours and it wasn't until about 1:30 in the morning. I said, I got to go to the hospital.
Something's going on.
Just taking a picture before they come down. So you go to the hospital at like 1:30 in the morning?
Yeah, he
woke me up because he's not one to go to the hospital, so that freaked me out. He walked off a broken leg for 3 days before I could get him to go to the freaking hospital with it. He had a broken back and, wouldn't go to the hospital. So when he says he wants to go to the hospitals, I was like,
on the air.
I'm up. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, we went and he thought it was food poisoning. And he was like, that stupid Taco Bell, I was like, I don't know, And then we get there and I'm like, I kind of said something. I'm like, it might be his heart, as we got him in and stuff. And then, sure enough, they said, okay, well, we're prepping you. We're taking you over to NIMSI because, we don't do this here at Woodstock or whatever, and got him in an ambulance and had him over there. And by the time I got over there, they had him in surgery. So he had 100% blockage.
Did they do stents? Did they do?
Yep, a stent.
I got one stent.
100% blockage in the femoral artery, which is called the Widowmaker.
The Widowmaker. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
The Widowmaker.
Right.
And they couldn't figure out why he was still awake. They gave him 3 shots of morphine and he was still
the
awake.
Femoral
I thought that was what
or
it
is the
called.
LAD?
Femoral.
I thought it was the femoral, I thought.
Okay.
And they went up through the
leg.
they went up through the leg
went
and
up
they
through
put
the
the
leg.
stent in. And they cleaned out the rest of the pots, but they said there was very little anywhere else. He literally got 100% blockage in one spot.
Wow.
So
Yeah, and you can only imagine what that was like when you wake up after they go through
your leg there,
Sure.
your thigh,
your genital area there.
Little tender.
Oh,
like Elephant Man tender.
yeah. No, it was pretty.
Yeah, it was. So he
freaking
was in
painful,
ICU for 2 days, and I slept
Something
at the
I
hospital.
really don't ever want to go through again.
Yeah, I slept at the hospital for the 2 days, and then moved into a regular
Which
room.
you would have thought that because I quit smoking obviously while I was
in the hospital. So you think you would have quit smoking?
After
Right.
I had that surgery and I got home, and man, I picked up right where I
You
left
just
off.
lit up.
I lit up, and dude, I was a pack a day. I smoked a
It's
pack a
tough.
day for 35 years, man, and I just could. I'm like,
No, and the doctor even told him, he's like, you really need to be. He's like,
Yeah,
you
you
can
gotta
smoke
really
pot.
lay
He's like,
off,
I'll
yeah.
promote pot. He's
Yes,
like,
yes,
quit
you
smoking
can-
cigarettes.
Wow.
when you got a doctor going, yeah, I'd much rather see you smoke marijuana than smoke cigarettes.
You're
cigarettes
right. The cardiologist.
Cigarettes will
tells him.
literally damage your
Exactly.
lungs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
That's a serious
Isn't
issue.
the
If the
weed
doctor's
gonna-
saying that.
Yeah.
isn't the weed going to mess
Right.
up my brain? I mean,
That part will be
don't
fine.
worry about that part. You don't use it anyway.
It'll be fine.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and after a short message from our sponsors,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back and bring on a couple more guests too at the same time.
Sounds good.
You are listening to Couples Synergy with power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Katkodian.
This episode is sponsored by the Lighthouse Emotional Wellness Center in Schaumburg, Illinois, offering the most comprehensive and effective family counseling program in the Midwest called Family Synergy Therapy. For more information on how we can help you and your family, look us up online at lighthouseemotionalwellness.com.
We had that was a tough year. Mike had a hard time dealing with it and didn't know how to talk to me or comfort me, and I was just angry.
A man doesn't know how to comfort a woman in a time like that.
All right, we're back with Couple Synergy here, and we have two new guests that have joined the podcast with Karen and Daren. Welcome, Mike and Beth.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
All right,
Hello.
let's get the
Hello.
family tree out. So Karen and Beth are sisters,
Yes.
and Mike and I are cousins.
Yes.
That's how we all know
Yeah.
each other.
Yes. Do you guys know why we're doing this podcast, Mike and Beth? I mean, we explained it to Karen and Daren, but
No.
no.
No, but we are here and we are ready to play the game.
Boy, this is the dating game. Is that
It's a
what are we?
dating game.
Well, I
Couples.
thought I'd take lampshades for 100.
Well, the reason why we do Couple Synergy and then we turn into a podcast is that, you know, a lot of couples out there, they might be struggling with different things in their relationship, conflict, divorce, separation, affairs, all of the above. And
And that's just Daren and Karen.
right. Right.
Man, did we bring a truckload?
We got a whole lot of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
And we just felt that, you know, kind of bringing everyday couple stories to the general public is really going to be able to help couples out there that might be struggling, right? And they just, you know, kind of hear it from other couples and what they've done to kind of figure things out in their life. And
Yeah, everyone asks if they're normal. And we hear everyone's stories, you know, with our work. And we're like, yeah, we've heard that. You know, there's a lot of just everyday people dealing with real stuff.
so some of the things we've kind of talked about, you know, obviously you guys know Karen and Daren's story, right? You know, one of the biggest things was the fact that they were able to survive a separation, an affair. They're here to talk about it, right? And so do you remember when they were going through that at that time?
Yes, I distinctly remember.
Beth lived with my boyfriend for a while.
Yes, I actually was the one who kind of introduced them.
Oops.
Yeah.
Not
Oops.
intentionally, but
What is
I-
the age difference of you guys?
8 years.
You're 8 years older. Karen is 8 years older.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I got her a job at my company, and he worked at my company.
What was that like for you then?
I hated it.
She was aggravated, yeah.
I hated it. And I told
She
her
was like, "You're all
numerous times. Yeah. I told her numerous times to either leave her husband or leave her boyfriend. But I hated it. I
So-
never liked it. I didn't want to be in the middle of it.
So you felt
she
like-
was
yeah.
because she got an apartment with them.
Well, I didn't necessarily get an apartment with him. He helped me out of a situation and moved in when I was finishing out a lease because I had
Another
a
roommate
boyfriend
that
I
was
kicked
moving
out.
out, and she needed.
So this
someone
is
to stay
before
there.
Mike was in your life.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
Mike wasn't
Long
around for any
before.
of this.
Yeah,
No,
long
no,
before
no.
Mike was in
No.
my life. Yes,
Nope. Well,
yeah.
I'm a victim of circumstances here.
Can you guys share a story about how you guys met?
Well, I'll let you tell that one.
Okay. Well, I belonged to Oddfellows Lodge, and we get together every Thursday, and on the third Thursday of the month, we always do fun night. Just always a good time. And so we were running that, and I was up there having fun.
That's what you do.
I was single, and
Fun
I was
night.
at the lodge, and it was a lot of fun. So there comes along the gal who basically was the connector here. So we got Lisa, Beth's good friend Lisa, whom she knew for a while. And she was a girlfriend and Rebecca of the lodge, and girlfriend to an Oddfellow of the lodge. So these
And Rebecca, that's another club, right?
Oh well, the Rebecca's is the female
We
organization,
work with
half
the
of the
Oddfellows.
Okay.
Oddfellows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the sorority and the fraternity.
If you will.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it.
Pretty much.
And you were a Rebecca.
I was not at the time.
Okay.
My girlfriend just said, "Come on up. There's $2 beers."
Okay.
And
It's
I
$2
said,
beers.
Ooh, that sounds
"Okay."
fun.
That's
I was
affordable.
single and had been single for probably about a year and a half, almost 2 years at that point. And at that point, I wasn't looking for a relationship, looking for nothing.
Were you living
I
at
was-
Dad and Carol's at that point?
No, I was
No?
living it with my girlfriend at that point. And
So-
I didn't want to, wasn't looking for a relationship or to meet anybody at this
And
place.
you had a son.
I did.
And he
Yes.
was how old?
At the time, he was 7.
Okay.
7 when we met.
Second grade.
All right. So Mike, you're up there having fun.
I'm up there having
On
fun.
fun night.
On fun night, no doubt. Rolling the bones, waiting for the next boxcars to roll around.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, that would be double sixes.
Okay, got it.
It pays out.
All right.
He was shooting dice.
Got it.
We were shooting dice.
Yeah.
And it was fun night. We're having a good time. Here come the I don't know. I saw her. She had red hair. Her hair was red then. I happened to take notice. We're like, oh look, here's a new gal in the room. I mean, it's an Oddfellows, men's lodge. Most of but on fun nights we open it up for guests, if you will.
Okay,
So-
what he's not telling you is that this is like a private room. I thought I was going to like a club or a bar. So I
Like a
got
Moose
dressed.
Lodge.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got dressed to like go to a club and I walk into a room that's
Everyone's in blue jeans?
a bunch of men ranging from like 25 to 70.
How old were each of you at the time?
I was 28.
Are you
Right?
sure about that?
No.
Good, because that would have made me 29 then.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Okay.
right. That was an easy one.
So it wasn't like a regular bar or
And you were a
club.
little overdressed.
Extremely overdressed.
Got
And
it.
I kind of hung out and said, okay, I'm going to have my $2 beers and hang out over here. This is what did they bring me to?
And usually at a place like this,
I was one of
It was
3 single girls in the room.
women in the room are
Yeah.
typically guests of the man that brought them there, as it
Yeah.
being the Oddfellows Lodge.
Not very many single women
So-
there.
So right, not many
I
single
was-
women there. So you
I
really
stuck
don't.
out like a
So
sore
now
thumb.
you're
Yeah.
like,
You don't.
Yeah.
You
So you had a neon light over your head.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Single.
So I
Single.
saw her
single.
there, and by the end of the night, we kind of got to talking a little bit.
Well, your buddy Casey
Yeah.
pushed him, was playing dice with him. And I was sitting with Casey's girlfriend at the table. And as I'm sitting there across from this, rectangular table from her, she keeps leaning around me and looking past me at the dice table. And I'm talking, and then she'd kind of lean over and peek over my head and try to look at the dice table again.
It's like,
Then I figure out she's getting messages to Casey to tell Mikey, come over here. You got to meet this girl. Mikey, you got to come meet this girl. So apparently they were bugging him at the dice table as she's sitting there grilling me on who I am and, information about me. And then they brought him over and he
Was
sat down.
it tough? Did they have to convince you to go talk to her?
Yeah, at first I was like, "Come on, man! What? I'm not. I don't know what's going on, dude. I'm winning over at the tables right now. You know what I mean? I want to get back to that.
Don't bother me.
Yeah, I'm kind of busy. I'm having fun. It's fun night, remember? And then because I wasn't necessarily going up there with the intention that I was, looking to, find my future wife at all.
And Mike was
so.
nothing I ever dated before. I had never dated a guy with hair longer than me and a beard and wore black and leather and rode not that
Motorcycle.
kind of a motorcycle. I dated guys who rode crotch rockets.
Uh-huh.
They were clean cut, clean shaven, ex-Marines. I didn't.
So you really
Yeah.
didn't know what you were being
not
brought
at
to
all.
that
Not
night.
at- not at all.
She was like,
No idea. No idea.
now I'm
No.
scared.
Yeah.
I just spent my $10 and drank $2 beers. And
So then, the end of the night kind of came rolling around, and everybody kind of had to kind of take off and boogie. And, we walked down the stairs together. I got her phone number at that time. I was like, oh, yeah. I'll give you a call, I didn't want to call her right away. The next day.
Course.
Oh, no. You need to be
Gotta
cool.
be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Not the next day. So, I waited a day or two, and then I gave her a call a couple of days later, and
We talked for hours before we ever saw each other again. For probably 2 weeks, we would get on the phone and he would call and we would talk for 2 or 3 hours. And I'd go, wow, this guy's great to talk to. And then I'm like, okay, I'll meet him. And I'm like, this is so not normally what I date. This guy has hair longer than me. He had a beard. I'm like, this is not what I date at all. But then I talked to him on the phone for hours and hours and hours. And it just turned into something.
What do you guys talk about?
Everything. Anything and everything about ourselves, about what we wanted. We just talked for hours on the phone. Those first couple of months we were dating, we would just talk about everything.
It seemed like a good time to talk about things, right? Because
he talked about his family and work.
It was Christmas time, as it were, right? Where we met on December 18th. So we met, and shortly thereafter, the following week would come around and I would be like, oh, yeah, I'm wrapping Christmas presents. And she would tell me about how she, won a prize at one of the places that she rented as a house, apartment that had a balcony, and she would decorate all of
the Christmas light contest.
Christmas
I remember.
Yeah. So she won a free month of rent or something. And, it was a fun story. It was right around the Christmas time and the holidays, so then,
we just talked about everything, but...
What was it about the other person that you fell in love with?
Oh, that's a great question. Now you'd have to make me think, because that was so many years ago.
I know, right?
There's so many different reasons as to why I fell in love with him then and why I love him now.
She was good to talk to. I mean, I think what it was really more or less the connection that we were able to make through talking and finding out that we realized through talking to each other the compatibility in our souls, I guess, I think, but for me, I mean, it was something that I was able to, cue in on and realize that, I was talking on the other end of that phone, was somebody that I could really talk to. And I enjoyed her company and her chatting. So I think those are the things that
was what did it for me. Because at first I was like, there is no way this guy, the long hair and the bike and the everything, I wasn't sure at all. And then the more I talked to him, the more
Chopper,
and more,
baby.
yeah, the more I liked him, the conversation better than, anything else.
What did your families think? Like how soon after you guys started kind of dating did your families meet each other, meet your partners?
I met his family right away. Kyle's birthday was in January. And the first time I met his family was at Kyle's birthday party.
Like a month later, I guess. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you met the rest of the family on our
Easter.
side.
And Kyle was also on another podcast of ours with Annie and Brian, who is the
Kyle is your
blended
nephew,
family.
like,
Yeah.
right?
Annie's my
Annie's
sister.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're both my cousins.
Yeah. So that was the first time I had met his family, and they immediately made me come in and do shots. It was like we all had to stand around the island, and do a Jaeger bomb. I was like, okay.
So my sisters, needless to say, they liked it right away.
Blended right in.
Good time. Yeah.
How about you meeting her family? Or should we just ask Karen what that was like?
I don't remember.
Well, I know that the first time he met Dad was Easter.
Were you living with Dad by then?
I had a tie on.
I did. I was living. Oh no,
we always
he had
wear a
met-
tie at
he
my
had met
family.
Dad earlier
And so
because
I
had
showed up
moved in
there.
earlier.
I had a tie on. I was looking good. My nice shirt and
But I
tie.
think all the family, it was Easter.
I definitely thought you were overdressed, but that's fine. The best part about meeting Mike was Beth showed up with Mike, and I got my first look at Mike. The very first thing I thought, I looked at my wife and I go, what is she doing? I go, this guy's like a biker dude. She's like,
Definitely nothing she dated before.
It's like nothing she ever dated before. He's like a biker dude. and he had the long hair at the time. I mean, long.
Long
Yeah.
hair.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
long hair. I'm like,
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see how this goes.
Let's be nice.
Yeah, this
Right.
Yeah.
is gonna
Let's be nice.
My dad was very quiet and didn't give his opinion because previous boyfriends, he had given his opinion too soon and we'd gotten in arguments. So he kind of held his tongue
Yes, he did.
for the first. He was actually, when I had met Mike, I was living with my girlfriend.
Besides, he
move out
already
of
hated
there.
me, so he was busy.
You paved the way.
He was
Right,
busy
there you go.
hating on me, man.
Yeah.
So I had to move out of my girlfriend's and I moved in with my dad and Mike helped me. And so my dad was like, wow, this guy hasn't known you that long and he's helping you move, you know? So he thought that
yeah.
was cool.
That's right. I think that may have been the first time I met
Yeah,
you.
and then he
Dad.
helped you move out and move into the
And,
house.
and then I moved in
Into
out
Mike's
of
house.
out of there.
And it was really cold out in January, and
February.
I had a cold. I was just like
Oh,
runny nose city, moving all of this
sick.
stuff.
oh
and
that's
the old
man's like,
awful.
Yeah.
huh, so you're sick and you're helping my daughter move, huh? You know?
Okay, well, you're not too bad.
you might be a good guy.
You get a buy right
Yeah.
now.
So you grow on people.
He didn't have earrings.
I have
That
a
was a
tendency
big
to
thing for
do
my
that,
dad.
you know?
Yeah, Dad hated earrings.
Mike didn't have earrings, so that was good. The long hair,
Bonus.
he could look
Right.
best, but the
Yeah.
earrings, he did not like.
Yeah,
earrings.
because all my boyfriends, even in high school, always had earrings. It
He
used to
did
drive
not
him
like
crazy. Even Daren had earrings. When we met, used to wear that Playboy bunny. Yeah.
That must have impressed the old man.
Yeah.
He loved that area.
Yeah.
He used to tell me all the time.
I wear the Playboy
I'm
earring
pretty
again.
sure
huh?
he glared at you for the first 10 years.
That looks great.
Wow. Yeah, he never really looked at me. He would just kind
He'd
of
glare.
glare.
He glared for the first 10 years at least.
Yeah.
So who said I love you first?
Oh, that's a good question. Mike knew right away that we were going to be together. I did not.
What was going on
He
for
said
you?
he knew sooner. I was just unsure. I had had bad relationships and wasn't sure about jumping into anything with anybody. And I had a son. I didn't let them ever meet my boyfriends or, I wasn't about to jump into anything because I had a young son. So I took everything very slow. They never got to meet right away.
How long did you wait?
Oh, it was probably 5 months, I would say, 4 or 5 months before Mike met him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't until like summer break or something,
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Oh, he was a lot of fun because, he was 7 or 8
He was
years
8
old or
by
something,
then.
so
Yeah.
he was a lot of fun. He liked to play, and he asked me to join him in playing immediately. So meeting him.
So you found someone on your level.
Yeah. Yeah. I was able to chime right in. I was like, oh, ball? Oh, cool. Sit and spin? I don't know. I'm getting dizzy.
Did you have any concerns that she had a kid?
No, that didn't really. That did not,
I
that
think
didn't
because
scare
of
me,
Annie and Kyle, that was something that didn't bother him because
Okay.
somebody would have to
That's
accept
true.
his sister and her son.
That's an interesting relation. But
Yeah.
I could see that.
You were close with
Subconsciously.
Kyle. I
Yeah,
mean, you did a lot of
subconsciously.
stuff with them, and you hung out
Sure.
with
And Kyle was this, almost the same age as Michael. So basically, it
Yeah.
was
6
kind of like
months
Yeah.
somewhere
apart
in
in
the same.
age.
Which
Yeah.
is so cool because they're so close now.
They are, yeah, but they're only 6 months apart in age.
All of us have had a kid before we all met. Like I had Alec, you had 4,
I had 4.
Yeah,
and yeah,
I had Michael. Yeah,
wow, we're all blended families here.
yeah,
Yeah. Which is the number one family structure or leading family structure in the United States.
Well, that would make
Which is
sense.
the blended
in
family.
this,
Yeah,
Right.
day
like
and age.
60-something%.
Right.
It's good though, in a way. I guess it's rough on all of the situations, but at the end, if that be the case and their families, then more power to them. Because that's, in this life, your family is a good structure or good people to have on your side going through.
Well, I think it's really important for family to let kids know that family is it's like, what did he say? It's an F word, but it's a good F word. Family's absolutely good to have. You got to have family. I remember when we moved into the subdivision by you guys, we didn't really know each other that well. We'd see each other every
Right.
now and then.
That was right after the house
Birthday
burned down.
parties.
And we started hanging
Christmas.
out.
You know,
We've
that's
actually
you know.
become to be pretty good. We found
Yeah,
out
they're
we-
good
the
friends.
best of buds now.
They are. We laugh
found
at
out
the two peas
we're
in the
literally
pod
two
that
peas
we,
in a pod.
Beth and I laughed.
You
right
were
off
able
it.
to get over the fact that he was a biker dude.
Well, our
man,
house
so-
burnt down, and so
Yeah.
that was our rental.
And now you're a scooter
It's
dude.
not so bad.
What's funny is when Daren and Karen first met, I never liked Daren.
Oh, never.
No.
The
she
first
hated
10
me.
years they were together, I hated Daren.
Oh yeah.
I did not like him at all.
No.
So,
the truth
and
just
then I married
oozes
somebody.
Yes,
out.
the truth
That's
comes
just like
out.
them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the two of them are great friends.
And when one's mad, the other one can calm the other down, which we always find rather comical from the outside.
In case of an emergency, call your brother.
I'm like, oh, Mike,
It was
Darren's
Armageddon
having a
today.
bad day. Yeah, come over.
Yeah.
Beth, did you witness Darren's growth?
Yes. Because
Oh,
part
yes,
of the reason
yeah.
I didn't like Daren was because he was such an asshole when they
Oh,
first
I
got
was- I
married.
was an asshole.
I mean, he
You're not allowed
was.
to say
He
that
was
on
a
the
bit
air.
of an
No,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
swear. You can. This is
He
an
was.
adult program.
We can bleep it out.
Well, he had a drinking problem and an anger problem, and there were, my sister was in the middle with my young niece and nephew at points,
Yeah.
and I didn't like it.
Yeah, and this was.
But I
before-
didn't like the affair either.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Well,
I
was an
didn't.
asshole before the affair.
You were.
I agree.
That's what got to it. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I was afraid to leave because he always told me he'd kill me if I left and, things like that. So then it
Yeah,
gave me
that's not what you want to tell your wife.
that petrifying thing is like, I can't leave either because he's going to hunt me down and kill me, so.
It was a lot, but I didn't like
Keeping
him
you
for
together.
A long time.
It's good.
Oh yeah,
Fear.
and now it's like
Fear,
what
right.
you
You're the glue that keeps the marriage
Fear.
together.
And now it's like what you gonna leave? Hold on, let me get your suitcase.
What changed my opinion was the fact that after the affair and after everything that had happened, that you still took Karen back
Right.
and were able
We
to
stayed
say,
together.
okay, things were screwed up. I was screwed up. You were screwed up. But let's try this again. And that's what changed my opinion about you. Because up until that point, I
Well,
still didn't necessarily like you.
we tried it a little different.
Yeah.
I think
Once
when
you were
we got back
separated,
together.
actually, I liked you more.
The separation helped. I think it
Oh,
helped
yeah.
us find ourselves. Well, and I was 19 when we got together too. So I was really young. And not to mention now I'm 19 and suddenly stepmom of 4 kids. And
Yeah.
then I had Jacqueline, I was pregnant by the time I was 20. So it was like, wow.
You were pregnant when you were 19.
Well, I mean, but I had her by the time I was 20. So
Yeah.
suddenly I have 5 kids. Woohoo. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was the oldest. I had no exposure to kids babysitting. I didn't babysit. I wasn't that kid that had babysitted kids in the neighborhood. I didn't take child development in high school, so I was like,
Tossed in.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
a lot to
wow,
deal with.
Sink or swim.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Speaking of sink or swim, so one time I actually stopped at the bar after work, and we were living in the basement. We had a water
Of my mom's?
In one of the townhouses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was so mad at me that
Oh.
she decided to take a fork. Oh my God. She took a fork and poked holes
in the
in the
waterbed.
waterbed on my side.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't do
It
like.
kind of gets the whole bed wet.
Yeah, I was just saying it's going to get your side wet too.
So
You're not doing anything
Right.
against him.
So I'm laying there and I'm getting wet and I'm not saying a word. And all of a sudden the water starts going over to her side. And she's like, why the hell am I getting wet? And I'm like, well, apparently there's a hole in our waterbed. It looks like there's a bunch of them over here. The thing just started springing in the lake. She goes, that's right, asshole. I poked holes in the
I
waterbed.
got you.
You're such
got
a...
you
Oh, yeah,
back.
I got you. I'm like,
Now I
well,
don't have a
take
bed
that.
to sleep on.
Right. We're going to get electrocuted from
Oh,
the
it's
heater
so
that's
funny.
still on. There's a couple things.
You're such a jerk. I'm going to poke holes in your side of the waterbed. You're going to be the
Apparently,
only
it
one
made
to
sense
get
at
wet.
the time.
Oh, it was funny. It was funny.
How do
lay
how do
down?
you guys deal with conflict?
You don't poke holes in your waterbed.
No. Depending on what it is. Sometimes there's arguing, yelling, and then we kind of have to walk away sometimes. And then we come back together and discuss it again.
There's always that hairy moment where you have to speak your piece,
Hey, that's scary sometimes.
It gets a little scary out there. You got to say what you got to say,
And then you duck.
and then you
Or
duck.
run, one or the
yeah.
other.
No, we
Watch
don't
out for the
resort
frying-
to
frying
throwing
pan.
things or we've never been like that. I think Mike early in our relationship once got mad and
Well, I
and
punched the solid
door.
wooden door.
I can't even tell you what the fight was about.
I broke 2 bones in my hand.
Taught yourself a lesson.
It's sort of like poking a hole in the water
Water
bag.
guy,
You
yeah.
want to break your own hand.
Yeah,
And
there
the
you go.
door didn't even have a dent.
No.
Yes, of course not. It was like, no.
Well, the best is it was 4 days before Thanksgiving, and we had to go to his parents, and now he had to explain to everybody
Why he's in
why he had a
cast.
cast. Because it was early in the morning, and something
Hey,
I said
everybody.
pissed him off, and he got mad and hit a door.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like morning, so it was like just a stupid morning thing. Now we don't really talk in the morning.
Yeah, you just give them their
Oh,
space.
yeah, we've agreed that in the
Yeah.
mornings.
Neither of us
yeah.
are nice
Yeah.
in the
We're
morning.
not really morning people.
Morning is an issue for you guys.
Yeah.
To each other or anything. We both
Yeah.
kind of are like,
We need our space.
on each side of the kitchen.
Sure.
Let me
Cup
get
of
some
coffee.
coffee and wake
Yeah.
up.
How long did it take you guys to figure that out?
10 years.
No. It took a couple of years, but
So it was a rough. That was a rough 10 years of marriage right off the get-go. Huh? Oh man, just dreading every
I don't know if
morning.
I'd say quite dead, but
Oh my god!
it's been a couple of
So
years.
It's quite a learning curve.
Well, let's see.
How long have you guys been together?
We'll be married 13 years this month.
This month.
This is 13? Lucky 13?
Lucky number
years this
13.
month.
Lucky
13.
Yeah, you're right.
You're
No.
on
We
the
got
road,
you
bud.
in
14.
reverse next month.
How long did you guys date before you got married?
Hold on.
Wait.
It's our 14th year.
You're right,
anniversary.
Oh,
Right.
Mike
Mike
pulls
got it
off.
right.
Right. I was going off of Harrison's age, but I
Oh,
was
no.
wrong. It's a year
Yeah.
above Harrison.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Winning.
Yeah.
Got points there.
And how long did you guys date before you got married?
Let's see. 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Something
Year and a
like
half.
that.
And then you
Yeah.
had that cool wedding down
Year
in
and a half,
Jekyll
yeah.
Island.
Yeah.
Tell us your engagement story.
Oh, the wedding was cool.
The wedding was cool.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I went and visited my father-in-law. You know, I called him. I called him on the phone.
Which I didn't know.
Did he glare?
On the phone, he
Through
might
the
have.
phone.
He might have.
He might
you know.
have.
And I had a conversation with him. You know, made sure that I had a conversation with him. I talked to him about marrying his daughter and all, and I felt that was the right thing to do. So
Oh, that's where I messed up, dude. I never even asked.
you never did that.
No.
Never asked.
Mike was the first boyfriend my dad liked.
Which
Wow.
he didn't
He
tell
liked
me
one guy
for a few years.
but that was just because he was a Marine and they were both Marines. But he didn't really like him, his personality. He just said he liked him because he was a
Because he
Marine.
was a Marine.
and, they stick together. But Mike was probably the first guy I dated that he liked.
Yeah, he actually really liked.
Really liked, yeah.
Yeah.
So after I, had a conversation with him on the phone, right before that, I started saving for a little something, It took a little while to save that up, So I remember making the connection and being real conscious about why I'm doing that. And, I was really hooked up with the whole idea, and I bought into it pretty well. And, and it was something that I think I was ready to do. So with that all being said, and I called her father, and I was saving up for my little something, and then we went out to dinner.
You're talking about a ring,
I'm
right?
talking about a ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Just
four.
to
It's the
clarify.
four.
Well, just to
it's the
clarify, a little
four-
something
little
is
something. Okay, sure.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a little diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Set in a little square on a little ring, Because through further conversation, I find out that, that she would like that square ring, because I prod around. And so I made sure, that I was going to get the right piece. And because, I did the traditional method of going to pick it out myself. Right?
Yeah, you picked it out.
Yeah, I picked it out myself, which I
You
think
did
is
a
the
good
more
job.
traditional method, nowadays.
Yeah.
People go out and
And they
people
look
pick
together
things
and
out.
it's like, here, I'll pick these four, and you come back and get one
No,
of
now
these four.
now you order it online now,
Oh,
and
is
you
that
have it
what it is?
shipped.
You order
Yeah.
online? That's
Right.
crazy.
Right.
Oh, I don't like this one. Can I send it back?
Yeah,
Right.
right?
No.
And you get a ring size when she's sleeping.
So then we
Yeah. I'm not actually sure how I actually figured that out. I did figure it out via some method. I had a friend of mine who actually did some jeweling work through his trade for years. He was in engraving, so he used to,
He
etch
took-
people's
did you take
names
one
and-
of my rings and
And have them
It was
figure out the
something-
size or
Yeah.
something.
yeah, basically it was like that. And he had the forms to measure ring sizes, so it made that we were like, all right,
Cool, it fits.
so
We went to a
I made sure I
restaurant,
found out which ring, she was wearing on fingers and stuff, and I asked around, like, how's that fit on that finger? Oh, okay, yeah. Trying to
Stealthy.
Slip it
Did
into
you
the
know?
real stealthy.
conversation.
Did you know, Beth, what he was doing?
I had an idea, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. I had an idea. But
Had you guys already talked about getting married?
we had.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think we have.
So you
Yeah.
call her dad.
I called her dad. We had a good conversation. Went well. He said, okay. So then
We went out to dinner.
we went out to dinner. And
Yeah.
it was a restaurant right in our hometown of Crystal Lake.
It's a nice steakhouse, but it's not even there anymore.
Did they have steak?
It was.
They had
It
steak.
was. It was John Evans, 14. It was
Okay.
a nice restaurant, but
See, you should have called
went to
them
John
there.
Evans, apparently.
Yeah.
it was. A
You
nice
guys didn't have steak?
No, the steakhouse was out of steak.
Oh.
They had pork
They-
chops.
they
No,
make good pork
we got
chops, too.
we had steak, but he proposed in the restaurant, and
Got
everybody
down on one knee,
applauded and,
traditional.
Oh,
I'm a real
nice.
traditional
Yeah.
kind of fella, so.
What'd she
Yeah.
say?
She said, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The catch to that is I was already pregnant, which most people didn't know yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it
So-
coming out here on the podcast?
Yeah.
Expose.
Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun.
The
Dateline
truth
news.
comes
So-
out.
Well, just so you know, we
Wait, what
kind
happened?
of figured it out.
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
How did you guys include Michael, your son?
I had Michael actually walk me down the aisle. He's actually who brought me up to the, up
Mhm.
to the altar. We actually got married on a beach, so brought me down to the end of the aisle because I figured once I had a son, he's the one who had to like my choice, whether my father liked it or not. My son had to approve, so he walked me down the aisle.
There was a time
It was
when
really
I
cool.
made the conversation with Michael as well. I don't remember as much as calling my father-in-law, of course, but I did have a chat with him as well, and I made sure that it was okay.
Before
with him.
before you asked her.
I did talk
That's
to him
cool.
about it. I says, I'd like to marry your mom, and would you be okay with that? And, and to be honest with you, Michael has always been Michael and I, we have always had a good relationship, and it's been an honest relationship. So, I mean, maybe that started that off in a real nice
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
It was trying when he was a teenager, but what
Mhm.
teenagers aren't?
Isn't
you know?
trying,
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but other
Right.
than that, they always had a pretty good relationship.
But yeah, I mean, you felt it important to include him on the decision, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Beth made it really prominent, real upfront early on in our relationship that Michael was her number one man. She'll do anything for him first. And we always made sure at that point that, he was included in, everything. And to be honest with you, I think his father lived in Arizona at the time.
Yeah, he did live in Arizona at the time.
So he wasn't really around much. So in the beginning, after a year or so, I think when they moved in, we also lived together about 6 months or so before we got married. And yeah, we really struck up a good relationship. So, it worked out real well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How is your guys' relationship similar or different from your parents?
Well, my parents got divorced, so
Yeah, here we go again.
my
It's
parents-
gonna be
We had that
Our
conversation.
it's the
relationship
complete opposite
way
end of the
different.
spectrum.
yeah, is way different than what my parents were.
Yeah.
My parents, have they been on the podcast yet?
No. your dad is.
We've been trying really hard to get them.
we have a
Yeah.
can opener. We're trying to crack that, but
Yeah.
so far,
Your dad.
They've been together, 43
43
years.
years.
Yeah.
I remember, making connections as we were growing up together, Beth and I, in our early stages of being married. Those were, I think, truly the hardest times as you're really trying to learn who each other is, how we react to different things, and how you react to the other person's reactions. So in the early stages, that's when the door got hit. We thought that was a good plan, good strategy. Oh, no.
You learn quick.
Yeah, we learned quick
Oops,
on
that
that one.
hurts.
Yeah.
I learned too to let him walk away and take a moment when he needs it. At first, I didn't,
Yeah.
which is probably why the door got hit because I probably just kept going and talking and.
And we did that early in our
I'd be willing to
relationship.
bet that's why that happened.
And those sorts of things don't happen so much anymore. And I'd like to think that, it's because, we couldn't watch, my parents were together and we're always a good supporting staff, supporting role. How is it similar? I'd say as a child, you watch your parents go through these things and how they kind of deal with their arguments, as much as, we all think that, they're not really listening, but, as a kid, you kind of are.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
You absorb.
Oh, you're listening.
Parents are like, they have no idea what's going on. I'm like, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
they can hear every
They
word
do.
you're saying,
Yeah.
especially when you're saying in the 10 decibels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if they're over the age of 6, they remember.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
so we made it through that, and I don't know. You find out, as we get older, and it's a good thing. And my parents have always been good, supportive people for being a sounding board. So there's been a few times where we have had a difference of opinion, Beth and I, and so we'll, and Beth's really tough about her ideas. She really wants to.
I'm stubborn.
She could be stubborn at
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
and that made for a good conflict of battle, And I too was the same way. I'm also probably
Mike, not battle, not battle.
It's like more like a war.
No, just confrontation. Not
Yeah.
battle. Not
Yeah,
battle,
confrontation,
yes,
right.
confrontation.
We don't have battles anymore.
Yeah. No
Occasionally,
battles.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
we've learned how to deal with them better.
Yeah, much more. Just more space.
So
He usually ends up with Mike walking away going,
Daren, I gotta
And that may
come
be the
over.
case, but it works for me.
Daggy, are you home?
I need to come over.
Hey, yeah.
Daggy, you home? You got any beer in the fridge? I got to come over.
we've talked about this in other podcasts before, and that there's research that shows that healthy couples and unhealthy couples fight in the same way. That they swear, yell, punch things like doors, when they're getting into a
Call
fight.
names.
Call names. The only difference that they were able to find is that healthy couples make repair attempts. They're the ones that come back and say, I'm sorry for what I said, or I'm sorry for what I did, and take responsibility for it. So just to kind of hear your stories and how you guys deal with conflict, it doesn't like ring a bell. I mean, it doesn't like raise any red flags for us because we hear this all the time.
Yep.
Right. It just seems like you guys were able to figure out how to manage the conflict, right, and find that balance point for each of you.
My parents fought.
Sure.
My dad and your dad are brothers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, did your parents fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember kind of blocking the door because I didn't want my mother to try to leave, and she was trying to like threaten, I'm out of here, that kind of thing.
See, and my parents got divorced, and I don't remember them ever fighting.
Mm.
No, I didn't remember them fighting either when
It
they got
was
divorced.
always
It was very
quiet.
weird.
It was
It
always
was behind closed
It
doors.
was very
Yes,
behind
it
closed
was
doors.
very
Yeah, they
behind
were-
It
closed
was
doors.
one day my dad came home and said, "I'm going to move out
I'm
for
going
a
to
while."
move out. I was
We were
in
like,
high school.
"What?"
I was like a sophomore, and you guys were in grade school, I think.
I was in second grade
Yeah.
when he said he was going to move
And
out,
we were like, what?
and then third grade when we moved out of Woodstock and
Mhm.
moved away from our family house.
So that was a shock for you guys. You didn't
Complete
even
was a
see it
shock.
coming.
No
Wow.
idea.
Wow.
I remember my dad yelling, but I don't think my mom did.
I can't imagine your mother yelling
No.
about anything.
And we interviewed her on the podcast, and she even said that, like in her marriage with my dad, he was very dominant, and that she's now the dominant person in her relationship.
Yeah.
So she went through a huge shift.
Oh, it rubbed off.
Yep.
Yeah. It does rub off after a while.
Uh-huh.
So conflict has changed for the two of you as well over time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think we deal with it much differently now. And
Yeah,
like you said about the idea that how we own it and make responsibility and repair shortly thereafter. We don't wait till the next day. Well, sometimes, but we try to go the effort and patch things up soon so that we're not really going to lead each other astray, because we know that we get along well enough and that we have different of enough opinions that and we're also very strong about each one has our own opinion that's really strong.
It's a good word.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
Trying not to get in trouble, right?
He turns and looks at her as he's saying strong, too, right?
He's looking at her going, is strong the right word? You
Strong?
think?
Is that okay?
I think it's it's one word that works, Yeah, because you got to be flexible. That's what helps out too.
That yoga helps with that.
Well,
I keep telling them that, but I think as you get older too, you're
Start to mellow out.
You're vested into it more too, and you know that you want to make
I don't
it
know if
work.
it's-
It's not like you want to get to
I'm
work.
not sure
No.
if it's mellow out as you get older. I think as you get older, you tend to just let the small things go.
So, yeah, the
Because
insignificance
it's
of
small and so tedious, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, the fight he broke his
You know.
hand, I couldn't even tell you what we fought about.
right.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
remember
it.
that.
Yeah, you don't
We-
remember.
I remember the argument,
fight.
and it was probably something stupid.
It was, I'm sure,
Yeah.
something dumb.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but
It wasn't about like making a major purchase and
No,
anything
no.
like that. Yeah.
No, something
Uh-uh.
goofy like you turned the coffee pot on too soon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now the coffee's out, yeah.
Have you guys had some big challenges?
Blowouts. I don't know if you had any blowouts.
or like you had a heart attack. I mean, there's people go through things in their life.
we had the year of my 40th birthday. We had a pretty tough year.
Mm,
I actually got pregnant and then had a miscarriage.
mm,
And it was a really tough thing because we didn't know if we wanted the pregnancy. And we stressed about what we were going to do about it and how we were going to handle it, and even looked into abortion and discussed all of our options and what we could do. And then I had a miscarriage. So, and that was a tough year. Mike had a hard time dealing with it and didn't know how to talk to me or comfort me. And I was just angry.
mm.
That's an emotional roller coaster.
It
right
was.
there.
And I
Yeah.
turned 40 that year.
Which
So I
is
was like
emotional.
already
Right.
emotional.
Right.
It was a rough year. So it took us, I would say, most of that year it started from pretty much when I turned 40 in February, and it kind of went downhill from there. And then by, I would say, November, things had finally turned around for us. But it was a couple of months that I didn't like him at all. We weren't happy for a while with each other.
Well, and the miscarriage happened inside of like a month, and that was a real challenging time.
It was about 8 weeks, about 2 months.
A man doesn't know how to comfort a woman in a time like that.
No, it's not something you go through.
No, it was just a really trying time. We were stressed out immensely about the idea. I mean, we thought, there was a few ways to handle it, so we didn't know what to do, what would be the best way to go. We explored options.
It was tough.
Had you guys made a decision before the miscarriage?
We had.
It's not like it's something that's easy to do, so it wasn't really like that's
Yeah.
something you could just go to your doctor and discuss. So
Yeah.
Right.
it was a very difficult time.
We
And
had made an
everyone's
appointment with the
emotions were
place.
on high alert,
Yeah.
and we weren't getting along too well.
Not at all.
No, it was pretty rough.
We didn't tell anybody either.
We didn't really tell
Mhm.
anybody because
No, not till after the
you know,
fact. You guys kept
Sure.
it pretty close-lipped.
Yeah. We didn't
Mhm.
tell anyone.
So each of you guys are going through your own emotions about it,
Yeah.
right? Your own turmoil. And then at the same time, the conflict is happening between the two of you because I imagine there's guilt. I
Yeah.
imagine there's, apprehension,
Oh, yeah.
second guessing yourself, all
Yeah.
of that.
Well, I mean, our youngest, Harrison, was 11 at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like, do we want to have another kid? We talked about whether we wanted to have another kid and do that all over again. And
scared the crap out of us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
With that separation.
But I have to
every
say,
time.
after that, we've actually, I think, communicated a lot better now because we weren't communicating those, I would say, probably 6 or 8 months. It was a tough few months. there.
And were you each of you talking to anyone else about it? Or is this
No.
before you shared it with anyone?
I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about it.
Uh-huh.
I had one. That was the only person I talked to about it.
I took a year for me to tell somebody at work, and I had a real passing conversation. Like the guy had told me that his wife had miscarried, and I had mentioned, I says, yeah, that happened to us too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That was the first time.
and that was the first time, and probably one of the only times I really ever talked about it.
Wow.
I don't talk about it much, and it was a challenging time.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was very
Because we
challenging.
had looked into not what it would take to not have the baby and had an
Mhm.
Well,
appointment
and we
to go
thought
in
about
and
it,
talk to them.
putting the baby
Right.
up. I don't know.
You
I don't
know?
know what we talked about. I don't know. I don't know. It was a tough one. That's a really difficult conversation. right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It is.
But we had appointments to
Yeah,
go
that
in and
is
find
tough.
out what the
That's a-
options were and what it would
personally
take to do adoption or
feel
to give the
blessed
baby
for-
up or to have an abortion and what
Everything that's
all of
happened.
it would be, So we ended up having the appointment to go in and talk to him. And then about a week and a half before that, I had the miscarriage.
What were you thinking and feeling during that?
Oh, I was just so sad and angry, and I wanted to have a baby. I was the mother of 2 kids already,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't want to have a baby at all.
We were
you know?
upset with each other on a
Yeah,
level there.
yeah.
So our personal one-to-one
fact that
relationship
you got me
was,
That I
pregnant.
got pregnant was
Oh, yeah.
You got me pregnant. This is your fault.
Yeah. yeah. So there was a lot of emotion with it, and
Yeah.
And then blame.
yeah.
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 Do all women
Oh,
blame? Do all women do
Well, it was
blame?
Of
back
course
and
they
forth,
do.
somebody had to do it. Right? I mean, we put ourselves right on out there, though.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally.
We're like a bulldozer in the way of it,
Yeah.
Oh, what me? I'm in a bulldozer. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't get the metaphors. Bulldozers and yeah, okay.
That's how I feel like sometimes, you're going at it, meaning if you're going at it, not the
Yeah.
best of ways. Instead of cutting like a knife, you're kind of going
What
through
are
like
we
a
talking
bulldozer.
about now?
I don't
Just conflict.
let's just,
Conflict?
let's edit that part
Okay,
out. All
got
right,
it.
yeah.
He conflicts like a bulldozer.
Mike likes his metaphors.
Well, the bulldozers, that's kind of interesting because, especially bulldozers today, you got the nice air conditioned cage around you or heated.
That's not the kind of
I was
bulldozer
going to
I'm
say,
talking about.
I'm pretty sure he's not talking about that kind of.
No,
He's talking
It's
about
really
an older
hot in the one. Yeah.
Really hot.
The one I'm driving, yeah.
one. It's like 95 degrees out. You still got to use ether to start it.
Yeah. It's that hot. And you're sitting right up above that hot motor.
Yes, sir. I know it.
Uh-oh.
I get it. I know exactly what
Oh.
you're talking about.
There's the 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah,
2 peas in a pod.
There's
They are.
Yes.
You're lucky you even got You're lucky you even got shade over your head.
Right.
It's probably an open cabin.
Looks like one of those Japanese,
You guys got a
archways,
2-for-1 deal when you purchased it, right? The 2 of you here, right?
Yeah, he did.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I don't own a bulldozer.
Just
A
saying.
steamroller?
Just saying.
Yeah, I got a steamroller.
Do you guys think your guys' relationship is similar or different?
I'd
Maybe
say
now.
different but similar.
Yeah.
There's
Now
some
I think
traits.
we're all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really even thought.
Yeah, I
about
never
that.
compared all of us. We just all sort of hang out all the time because she's my sister and she lives a block away. And
Yeah.
Daren and Mike are friends, so we're always doing stuff together. Barbecues,
Yeah, it's funny
boating.
because I always feel that even if they wouldn't have gotten married and I would have met Mike, we'd probably be. we would have
They'd
been
be friends.
Absolutely, because we both.
They're a lot alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
Oh,
strange.
Well, and Karen and I have always been close. I mean,
Grandkids.
I've always been
Yeah,
close.
I was going to say, I think all 3 of us sisters have been fairly close for the
Yeah.
most part. We're sort of talkative and.
Are the 2 of you closer than your other
Judy?
sister?
Yeah, only
Yeah.
because
she's in Atlanta.
Georgia.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
She lives
She's
here.
further away.
We'd be
Geography,
closer.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we talk to her on the phone probably once a week at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that Daren and Mike get along makes it a little easier to spend time together.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting
they
because,
didn't.
we learn about relationships as children growing up. You guys grew up in the same home. So you're either going to do something similar or opposite, and
Yeah.
you'll always find a partner who knows how to do that dance. So
Yeah.
it's a cool thing,
I'd say they both gone completely opposite of their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
most part.
absolutely opposite.
I never
mean-
wanted to have that. Even Michael's dad, we were never married. We were together for a long time, but we never got married. But I never wanted to have that be an issue. I just wanted it, I didn't want to do what my parents did.
Mhm.
I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to argue. I
But
wasn't
they
going to get
didn't
married
argue.
till it was, after they got divorced.
Well, yeah,
it
then
was
they
constant
still fight
arguments,
now.
But I never wanted to have that type of a relationship. And so I waited till I was older to get married.
No, and the other thing too is your mom never really said, she didn't give you like messages to tell your dad. She more or less just went through her lawyer all the time. But
well, they were both jerks.
Yeah,
I know, but
they were both
I mean,
jerks.
but
They really were both jerks.
she didn't use you guys to give messages.
No, she
to
tried
him,
not to.
and he didn't use you guys to give messages.
No,
to
they
her.
tried to keep us out of it. They just didn't.
They did.
Right.
They really
put
did.
you guys in the middle.
But they
then.
did put you guys
they tried
in the middle
not to do
sometimes.
that. And I mean,
no, they did put you in the
Well,
middle
they did.
sometimes.
Oh, no,
My
because-
dad would be a jerk and not pay a medical bill because my
Yeah.
mom, would
Right.
be like,
Or
"Here, you got to pay this." Or,
They'd be
you know.
playing soccer and mom paid for soccer, so dad showed up. So she pulled Judy and Beth off the field because dad wasn't going to watch a soccer game that he didn't pay for.
right.
And how old
I
were you
mean,
guys
so-
when they got divorced?
I was 8.
I was 17, 18, and I felt kind of left in the lurch because mom moved out and moved with you guys, and I was left at the house with dad. And then dad moved out and got his apartment, and I was left in the house by myself,
Wow.
not knowing what to do. I didn't know how to pay bills or do anything. I think that's why I latched onto a boyfriend as early as I did.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't tell you anything. It was a shock to you guys. So it was just all of a sudden dropped in your lap.
Yeah,
and
it was
you
pretty much
needed
dropped
to
in our laps.
figure out how to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't fight. I don't remember them
I don't remember
fighting.
them fighting. I don't
Right.
remember
They
arguments.
had other couples that they went and did things with. They were on bowling leagues and in bingo, and there was other couples that they hung around with that I can remember growing up.
It's the bowling league.
It's
Yeah,
the
that's what I
bowling.
know,
That's it.
right? You know?
Let's bowl.
But
Shit.
For all you listeners, we're all on the same
But yeah.
bowling league too, right?
Oh
Yes,
shit,
we are.
It's gonna be bad.
So here's a question for all of you. What is it that your partner does that you know they love you?
What is it that? What now?
What is it that your partner does that you know that she loves you?
Oh my God, she does everything.
He gives me back massages when I
Shit.
ask.
Yeah, I don't know if I get that. I don't really get. Well, you try and give a massage.
yeah, I don't give massages
But
very
it's
often.
every morning. My lunch is always ready, and I have coffee ready, and she always makes sure that, because she knows that I'm not a morning person myself. So if I don't have to get up and rummage around and make coffee, she knows that she can sleep longer because,
He gets up early.
well, and the noise level when I'm trying to make coffee
He
could be
grumbles
right.
loudly.
Because sometimes you just can't get the filters apart.
Yeah. So he
You
goes.
know what I'm saying?
So he goes to work.
You're
at a
half
job.
asleep trying to get filters apart, and it's like, no way. Come on.
Yeah, so he goes to work at a job that I know he doesn't like, but he's doing it to support our family. And so I, in return, try to make your home life as easy as possible. Your laundry's always
No,
done.
I love my job, really.
Your lunch is packed. Your vitamins, your coffee's made. You know, there's nothing in your way. The sugar canister is full. Anything I could possibly think of, to make it easier because,
Yeah,
you know,
do.
And what does he do that makes you feel loved?
we'll go into a job that he hates every day is one of them.
I used to like my job, but my job started to really get
It's
on my
wearing on him.
last nerve.
But he's attentive. He comes in and like even this morning he was like, "Hey, let's come back to bed and just lay in bed." And we were laying back in bed, and the cats crawled in bed
Naked,
with us.
naked, of course.
You know.
Yeah, it's
Empty
a Saturday
nesters.
morning, so you're gonna
sometimes
want
he
to.
gets
the-
cuddly, and then we
Yeah.
ordered, like I said,
The
we ordered
details.
IHOP this morning, and I was like, "Oh, let's have IHOP
Not
delivered."
necessary.
Totally necessary because anybody can lay there with their clothes on.
It's an attention thing, I think. You know the
It's
kind of
attention
attention
thing.
I need, and I know the attention you
Right.
need.
And I know that you like to cuddle in bed, so I try and make it so it's.
Watch my silly movies occasionally on TV. I'll watch some
I'll
ghost
watch your
show with
stupid
me.
movies. And everything.
I'll watch your garage rehab shows or whatever, motor making
Right.
something.
What about the two of you guys?
I guess it's just, everything from waking up together, and she makes my lunch in the morning, and she goes to her job, and she'll do still, laundry and cook and make things to eat. And how do I know that she loves me? She doesn't leave. She sticks around. I think that says a lot.
Still there.
That does say something.
The dude with a huge 4x4 down the street's not dropping her off at the house at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
That's always a good one.
Well, like I said, he gives me massages anytime I ask. He's always really good about that. But just the little things, like when he can see that I'm crazy and he empties the dishwasher for me, or just the little things, making my coffee and, knows how the sugar I like in my coffee. And he drinks it black, but he knows exactly how I like mine, and he'll do it. It's just the little things. Coming home every year on my birthday with flowers. Being that my birthday is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I always get flowers on my birthday. So, those are things he always does. Always brings me flowers. So it's the little things.
The little things. Well, Daren, Karen, Mike, and Beth, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate you guys telling your stories.
Human beings have been sharing stories for thousands of years to heal and bond and grow. We hope by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your lives and the lives of our listeners.
As soon as I find a cave, I'm going to go ahead and do some hieroglyphics on our entire marriage. So that way, in 3,000 years from now, when they're checking caves, they'll see what a life story we had.
There we go.
Or we could just give you the recording.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a lot easier.
It is the modern age.
Right.
You could go time capsule with that. Yeah.
We do call him a caveman from time to time.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us here. It has been awesome being part of your show.
Mike's ready to sing.
We're glad to be part of it. We're glad to learn something new about each other and about all of this. So.
For all you listening, if you have any questions or topic suggestions, again, please feel free to leave a comment and look us up online at couplesynergy.com. Until next time, synergize your life, synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian, along with Organizational Director Calvin Javier and Marketing Coordinator Bridget Reese. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.